This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel and Damon, joined by Damon McDonald. How's it going, Damon?
We are great. It's a pro wrestling Monday morning for me, and by pro wrestling I mean we're going to talk about pro wrestling like we always do on the Super J-Cast. It's fun, exciting times. I don't know if it's exciting times, but we're all geared up. Again, I say it every week, and every week we inch closer, Joel, to Tokyo and Wrestle Kingdom weekend, which is always a blast.
Can I have a word with Music Damon to start off the show? Because there's something that I'm personally very excited about that is near and dear to our hearts and involves our good friends and integral part of the show, Editor Dan, who has been doing some very exciting stuff. Yeah. And I'm going to hand over to Music Damon here because I'm not the most erudite person when it comes to the musical world. Damon, do you want to tell us your thoughts? Just give the listeners a quick update. What's been going on with Editor Dan?
All right, kids, strap in. It's another Damon music segment.
Editor Dan, again, not only a vital part of everything that we do here on the Super J-Cast, helping us with every show he has his fingers on, which is pretty hot if you think about it. But also, Dan, he has, I wouldn't even say it's a side project. I wouldn't even disrespect it like that because it is a full-fledged, legit, real, and dare I say, incredibly awesome-sounding project that he has. Escape the Box is his band, and Pariah, his EP. The band's EP was released over the week. And I'm not lying when I say this. It's fucking good. It's good. It's real good. There's a couple tracks on there that I've been playing quite a few times. I like Whatever Happened. I like Mistress, the first track on the EP. I'm telling you. And I'm not just saying it because it's Dan, and I'm not just saying it because he is a three-piece set, as I like to say, on this.
We shoot straight, don't we, Damon? If the music sucks, you tell him. Dan, this is shit.
I mean, look, you can kind of tell, right? Look, everybody's got friends that they have that, you know, might have a little side thing going on or a little project that they do. Or, you know, they want to show you their watercolors or whatever. Okay, you know, cool. And I'm all for it. I want people to do that because I think that's an important thing of life, right? I don't understand people who just, I come home and I stare at my wall and then I go to work and then I can't, like, I have a million things that I'd like to do. And I don't do any of them well, but I try to do them all. But at the end of the day, if, like, you would tell if I were like, this is real good, Dan. That's not the case. Like everything that I've heard is a polished effort. You know what I mean? Like it looks good and it sounds good and it is good. And
it's like real professional. It's not like a bunch of lads in a garage somewhere,
right?
Busting out amateur tunes. This is like good, high quality, high production stuff.
Right. It's a legitimate, thing. And it's good. So listen, Spotify, that's where I've been listening to it. You can obviously purchase it from iTunes.
Which is what I did for the low price of £1.95, which is a steal.
Yeah,
for 4 songs. I mean, that's nothing to me, and it's good.
And in the money doesn't go into our pockets, but it goes into Dan's pockets and his projects. So again,
wait, what? We're not getting a cut from this statement.
I wish, because I got news for you. I say this under my breath every once in a while, but if anything's gonna take off, it's gonna be this fucking band. Like we're gonna be left in the dust, like talking about a New Japan podcast, and he's gonna be on tour with fucking Oasis when they get back together.
He's going to be doing entrance music for some of the wrestlers in New Japan.
I'll tell you
They'll
what.
be doing Zack Sabre Jr.'s new entrance theme.
I'll make this bet right here and right now. Dan's band plays, and I'm not going to say main stage, mind you. He's playing Glastonbury before we're getting a check from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yes, I would take that bet.
That bet.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, that bet is happening. That Dan will be playing Glastonbury before we get any type of money. How about this? I'll go so far as to go. I'll say this. Dan's band, Escape the Box, again, Pariah. Go Spotify, Apple Play.
YouTube as well, youtube.com/Escape the Box UK.
Yep. Anywhere you go to get your music, give it a listen, right? This is the bet that we make, that collectively, the Super J-Cast collectively get, and we'll start the ticker right now. $5,000. So we have to get $5,000 for our efforts, or Dan plays Glastonbury first. I'll tell you right now, Dan's playing Glastonbury. I swear to God.
To you, I'm just a boy next door that'll play the music loud until the police get called. I'ma never turn it down. Yeah, I'm so cocksure in the mirror, rocking out until my nana calls me son and says our finger washing's done. Now I'm back at work only just to cash my chicken and my boss.
The other thing we need to plug, Damon, is your appearance on WH Park's new podcast, Thunderstruck, which is picking out some memorable matches from the career of one Jushin Thunder Liger. That will be coming out October 26th. Do you want to give the listeners a little sneak preview what you and WH were talking about?
Everything but pro wrestling, it felt like. No. He's a good guy. We hit it off real well. We both have very similar tastes in music and in style and in even what we like in our pro wrestling. And I always tell him every time I hop on, it's one of my favorite gigs. I don't do a lot of guest spots. I'll do Andrew's Music of the Mat because I love him and he's great and I love the concept of the show. And I like doing his. It's just always fun. So it was my personal favorite Liger match. We got to choose which one we wanted to talk about, and mine's the that January Naoki Sano match from '90. The famous one or the infamous one. Liger has his mask ripped, the blood, Liger winning the title back, and shortly thereafter, kind of Naoki Sano leaving the promotion. It's one of those matches, kind of everybody kind of talks about where they were and what they were in life when they found Japanese pro wrestling. And for me, this is one of those defining moments, right? So, and we were talking a lot about tape trading and how we got matches and like how long it took me to even get this match, and just fun, just a fun time. It's always a good listen. So yeah, I'm the first one. So when he releases these shows, my show's the first one, and it was fun. So I wholeheartedly recommend you give it a listen and subscribe, because you'll want to get everyone. He's got good guests lined up all throughout. And I can't imagine it being a boring listen. So give it a go, as they say. My show's the first one, and it's the one featuring that Naoki Sano match.
I've got an episode coming up sometime in the future. I won't spoil which match it is, but it is. I can confidently say I think it will be the worst quality match in the entire series. So you can look forward to that. But very interesting discussion. You're probably thinking, what is Joel on about? But you'll have to wait and find out and listen to the show to hear what the match is and why I picked it if it's so shit. And it stinks. So there you go. Exciting times there. Also, Damon, what was exciting is we're having a strong zero drinking contest with Spicy Carl Fredericks.
Oh, I saw that.
And with you funding all my strong zero drinkage over this holiday, it's going to be a pricey night.
It might be a pricey night. Yeah. See, here's the thing. While Spicy, as we'll refer to him, has the time of his life in Tokyo with his wonderful, well-chiseled body and his good looks, and I'm sure charming,
amazing hair,
and
it's a full wrestling match, not a hair out of place.
Yeah, while he's that's fueling his drinking habits. What he doesn't understand is that I've been seeing a young lady, and her name is alcoholism. And I have been seeing her for 30 plus years. And that has been driven with various forms of social anxieties and depressions and talking myself into terrible things and poor choices.
So strong zeros for everybody, folks.
So we're coming at this little contest from two completely different perspectives. But yes, if it does happen, that'll be fun. I mean, listen, I here's the thing though. Are you a distance drinker, Joel, or can you pound them down quickly and survive? Are you that kind of drinker?
I think I'm more of a distance person. Not gonna lie, I've never drunk so much that I've been blackout, I've forgotten what's happened. But definitely a social drinker. I will, put a few of those 9% tall boys away before a big wrestling show to enjoy myself. A bit karaoke, parties, whatever. That's more my kind of jam. I'm not sitting there just hammering them with the intention of getting completely plastered.
Okay. All right. Well, we come at it from a different side, right? So we're going to hit it from both angles. Yeah, I'm more of a distance. I'm definitely more distance, but my distance is we're going all fucking day. And I don't know if time will allow us to do that. But again, we have a lot of ideas. We'd like to figure something out. So he seems like a good guy, and just him busting our balls about it. Appreciate that, and again, we'll line something up, and hopefully it'll be broadcast on New Japan World. We can get Kevin Kelly to commentate our abusing of alcohol in Tokyo. That'd be fun.
Right, sticking with New Japan World, there was yet another press conference today, which was the announcement of the official launch of New Japan Pro Wrestling of America. So that's going to be the official US subsidiary branch of the States. And I'm not going to read all the details from the press conference. You can find that on the New Japan website where they go into more detail about what that will entail. But Damon, you've had a look at it. You've seen the details. What's your gut reaction when you saw the content of this press conference?
Well, first thing that stood out for me is the idea of this. First, let's rewind the clock a little bit. And when they first started announcing U.S. expansion plans, it was, the running joke was that this was, the California territory or what have you. And it looks like we're growing from that. Now, to have an official office is an important point in New Japan's growth. And again, they're running shows without the secondary promotion. I don't want to say footing the bill, but maybe doing a little bit more legwork in the booking of the arenas, in the getting the chairs and renting the barricades and the ring set up and getting it to and fro and all that stuff. Well, it sounds like that's going to be quickly thrown out the window, and we're our own thing. We're going to be our own brand. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have their own ring and they're going to travel. They're going to have somebody driving a truck. It might still very well be, okay, we're using, ACWs in upstate New York's ring, and we're renting it. Aside from that, it's a good thing that they are getting more serious about being a sole entity in the United States. Good thing. Here's where I'm a little, and I guess disappointed is the term that I'll use. Only in the sense that 3 years ago, when we look back in time, we're running shows in the 2,300 arenas of the world, or the mid-size shows, and we're running these things with the help with Ring of Honor and all that. Those War of the World shows. And we thought that in a year's time or 2 years' time or whatever time that we would be growing. That word of mouth that was mentioned in that press conference would have already taken place. That buzz, all those things that we talk about to help kind of homegrown revolution. It's the fans that are going to take this to the streets and get their friends and then their friends. And then the next thing you know, big buildings. And it feels like that momentum has peaked to me. And that peaked at Madison Square Garden. Listening and getting the notes from that presser, we're back to those 2,000-seat arenas. And they're going to run those type. I'm going to say this, and it pains me because, again, 2 years ago, I wish I wouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say it because it's the truth, and we're not some circle jerk show that's, the reality is that this company isn't, at least in the United States, a basketball, hockey arena promotion. Sorry, we're not. Right? So if this is a reset, if this is we need to reevaluate to see really where we are in the market when it comes to America. We are a 20,000, I wish we were. We're a 2,000-seat arena. Still. And we did not do a good job of capitalizing on the growth that we had leading up to this point. In fact, I feel like we've either flatlined or we've taken a step backwards. Now, if we agree that the peak and the pinnacle was Ring of Honor's New Japan show at Madison Square Garden, we've seen how far Ring of Honor has fallen. And I would not in no way, shape, or form say that New Japan has fallen that far. But it does feel like we've spun our wheels a little bit, and we haven't taken advantage since that point.
It's not anything that's particularly sexy. There's nothing to get your heart racing, is there? Because when you're seeing them mentioning things like, oh, we're looking at smaller venues, like 2,000-seater venues, that's not competition for the big guns, is it?
No.
They're not trying to compete with the likes of WWE or All Elite Wrestling or any of that. This is competing with the lower level stuff, like your Impacts or your Ring of Honors and things like that.
Yeah.
So it does, it's sensible. It makes sense because we had a lot of situations this year where they run larger venues and there have been a lot of empty seats and it's looked bad. And you thought, well, had they picked a smaller venue, it wouldn't have looked so terrible. So, yeah, it makes sense on the one hand. But on the other hand, I want more events like Madison Square Garden, like G1 in Dallas, and things like New Beginning USA and Fighting Spirit Unleashed. It doesn't excite me.
Right.
But I guess I'm not the target audience. These are not necessarily things that people are rubbing their hands together. Oh, I can't wait to watch this on NJPW World. This is just a chance for fans in the States to go to these live events. And they are always fun. They haven't put on any bad events so far. But it seems to be quite conservative.
Yes.
I want to see them trying to put on big shows and excite people and, throw the gauntlet down to those bigger companies. I'm not saying do it all the time. And, the people that we've spoken to have given us some interesting comparisons. Like you look at the NFL, who don't have a UK subsidiary, but they'll come to Wembley Stadium once or twice a year to put on a big showcase match. And it's a big event and everyone's excited. And that leads to some growth. So I'm not saying the two things are mutually exclusive. Great, we're getting more smaller level shows, but I hope that's not at the expense of them, of the bigger shows. I hope they do come back next year and put on some big foreign shows as they did this year.
They're really in a weird scenario where they're playing, and again, the idea is 2,000-seat buildings. Well, that's already your core. Like you're not going. It's going to be very difficult to grow from that. Right? the people that are already in the streets and loving your product and is passionate about you, they're the ones that are there. They're the ones, right? You and I don't know if live events is going to be the way to grow that, right? Again, so their mindset has to be, okay, other than those 2,000 people that are already going to buy tickets, those are the people that are like your fan base, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let me clue you in, because we do that for you. Are the people that are listening to this show that they're already there? These are the people that are already buying those tickets, right? The only thing that you can go down from there is less, right? Like burning those people out and be like, there's really not a big point in going, right? Because I've seen these guys, the same shit every 6 months or whatever. You got to give them something special. So, the idea of running these 2,000-seat buildings is okay to a certain degree, but just like you were saying, Joel, to get new people, you gotta give them a reason to buy a ticket. Like, you can't just say New Japan Pro Wrestling is showing up, come. You got to say, it's this match, you're getting it, come, right? And that's a change in philosophy of booking. That's a change in the way the company as a whole does business from a pro wrestling perspective. And that's a difficult thing to do. Again, my thoughts, Joel, is, okay, you can run these things and they might be profitable to you, but by in no means I want them to think that we're growing the business by running these arenas. These people are already fucking there and they're already fans. And the only thing you're going to do is burn out those fans. You're not going to grow the business because you've already been doing that for 3 fucking years. This is your audience. You got to think of other ways to get new people in the building. Now, I say that Lowell had tickets available. It didn't sell out. Hammerstein did well, but it's New York fucking City. You better do well. Philly sold out in seconds, right? But again, those are hotbeds of pro wrestling. I truly believe that if they wanted to, and I think it would be more impactful, Joel, if they said, okay, we're going to run basketball arena, and we're going to take that pocket, that 3, and I don't know, pick an arena in there, Newark Prudential Center, I don't know. I just picked one that whole pocket could go to, right? That's a travelable for Philly. That's travelable for anybody in the Metro network or the New York Metro area. Boston could get down there relatively easy taking a train, and then all points west. Pick one arena, give them something special, they'll go. That's what we're talking about. And give other people opportunity to feel the buzz. People aren't going to feel the buzz with, New Japan's showing up. Eventually, you're going to burn that out.
I've been having a look on Twitter to see what people's thoughts are on this, and Voices of Wrestling made a good point about roster size, pointing out that it's not an issue because people were worried about resources being stretched too thin. But they made the point that during the G1 there were over 30 wrestlers that were either not booked for the tour at all, on excursion, injured, or working the tour but not wrestling. And that the New Japan roster is larger than you think. They can always add. They've got dojos on 3 continents feeding them. So at the time, these were the wrestlers who were not part of that tour for whatever reason. So we got Sho, Yo, Kojima, Nagata, Nakanishi, Gorillas of Destiny, Hikuleo, Eagles, El Phantasmo, Taguchi, Tiger Mask, Ishimori, Mikey Nichols, Makabe, Doki, Rocky, Coughlin, Taka, Tenzan, Desperado, Oka, Finley, Kawato, Hiromu, Gambino, Gedo, and Jado. So it does make sense in one hand to think, okay, well, if we've got this tour running in Japan, then let's use all these guys that are not being used and put on a smaller show in the States concurrently, as they tried to do with the New Beginning tour. So That does make sense to me. But again, out of the names I've listed, there's no one on there that you're like, oh, I've got to go and see this guy. It's no one. You're not going to be booking flights or hotels to travel across the country to do that. But just other practical things. JDM wrote to us and said, I think we need to consider how a US office helps the expansion. Consider the flaws in their efforts thus far. Too much LA/West Coast, late card announcements, poor/late marketing, media relations. US office presumably will create a liaison to Western media outlets, help market events. Doesn't help with card announcements. Seems like they'll hit different markets outside LA, which is something that they did bring up. They had a little map for this expansion, talking about the West with 6 cities, 4 states, the Mid with 7 cities, 6 states, the East, Southeast, and Texas. So it looks like they're going to be getting a bit more coverage. So I'm trying to look at the practicalities where it does make sense, but yeah, we're just coming back to the original point. It's not exciting news, is it?
No, I mean, and who was that? JDM on Twitter. All those points that was were brought up there, we still got what we got, right? Right. So for all those struggles of just the way that cards are announced, and you finally find a lineup 10 minutes before walking in a door, all those things that the poor marketing and if you're not a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Kevin Kelly going out of his way to hype up shows. I mean, it's hard to get a casual wrestling fan to jump on board. Even with all that, even with all those struggles, we still got what we got. But this plan that was outlined doesn't feel like we're growing. It feels like we're staying the same. And so it'll be interesting. Again, it's one press conference, but that's from this day forward. Now we have to track of, okay, are we improving, and what is the plan to improve to get that new audience? You can't. Here's the thing. You can't rely on word of mouth anymore. You're past that fucking point, or we would have hoped that you were. And if you're relying still on, not for nothing, our backs, right? We're kind of tired of carrying the load. And when I say our backs, I mean the fans you already have. You have to think outside the box, and I don't know if necessarily this is a great idea in expanding what they've already have and have already done.
Yeah, it's more of a consolidation, isn't it, than a big step forward.
Yeah, and I guess to a certain degree, an official line in the sand, right? I like the fact that there is an office. That, for all my pessimism of where we should be if we turn back the hands of time and looked forward, for all of that, it is pretty exciting if you think about it, that New Japan Pro Wrestling has opened up an official. It does give, again, a nice line in the sand of, okay, they're dedicated to this audience, and they're dedicated to growing this audience. They may not be doing it the way that I would agree with, but at least they're doing it. And there is an avenue for people to support. You can't support something if it's not there. So in that sense, it's a 100% positive thing. It's just, okay, you might want to pick up the phone and give us a call so we can help you guys out with this one because you fucked it up the first time.
The other thing that stood out to me, Damon, I'm just looking at the names involved in this. So this new company, so we got chairman is Naoki Sugabayashi, CEO Takami Obari, CFO Michiaki Nishizawa, and COO Kaname Tezuka. It's interesting the names that are not on that list, if you catch my drift.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
What? Huh? Yeah. It is. It is interesting, isn't it? Look, we're dancing around a little bit, but yeah, you were exactly right, Joel. You are exactly right.
A question here. Steel O'Neill says, do you think the US IWGP US title becomes New Japan of America's top strap? And do you think we'll get tag belts and secondary belts too?
Probably. I want to see why not. I mean, if the end goal here is a touring company, right, similar to that of what again, if we're doing comparables, and NXT is, even though they have a much better TV deal, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would think secondary titles, U.S.-focused secondary titles would be in the future. I don't see why not. I mean, you got to give people something to do and a reason to get in the ring. So, yeah, I would think that would be right around the corner.
The other big news that came out in the week was that Bushiroad, New Japan's parent company, bought Stardom, the women's wrestling company. So the key takeaway from that is that Stardom and New Japan will be kept separate, but just under the same umbrella. So it seemed to me, Damon, that this was a preventative measure against impending the rumours of an incoming NXT Japan. And, just ask any fans of British wrestling. Just look what NXT UK has done to the UK wrestling scene. So it seems like a smart move for that. But from what we've heard, don't expect a women's division because we understand upper management are not in favour of that. Might be some cross-promotional stuff, the odd interview and that, but it seems most likely that the two brands are going to stay separate. And the quote from the conference was the streaming service Stardom World will remain exclusive for Stardom events. New Japan World will not be streaming Stardom. And with New Japan World part owned by TV Asahi and the Stardom TV deal with rival NTV, politically that will be almost impossible to work out. So it did also sound from the quotes that Kidani was interested in having women's wrestling on the shows as part of the Western expansion. So I thought there may be some cross-promoted stuff overseas or just more Stardom shows overseas without having to have a cross-promotional thing. Yeah, some people are a bit worried that this is going to be bad for the smaller Joshi promotions in Japan because Stardom may well start aggressively hoovering up the talent, but that's not the remit of this podcast. So, Damon, what were your thoughts when you heard about Bushiroad buying Stardom?
I first, from a business perspective, I think it's great that Stardom has this influx of capital, right? That's to allow them to pay their talent and to up production and to rent buildings and so forth. So I thought it was a positive from that perspective. The only, and again, negative would be, and again, it's more of speculation and learning from past history is that, yeah, when you get, for lack of a better term, a business bully who is trying to elbow their way into a market, it does bring upon, I don't want to say desperate things, but it does bring upon, I don't know if this purchase would have been made from Bushiroad if there wasn't this constant looming black cloud of, let's be honest, WWE trying to do their idea of the board game Risk and just taking over areas and pockets of pro wrestling fandom. Whether that be the UK, whether that be Australia, whether that be Japan. The good news is that at the very least there was some, and again, at the end of the day, it's a business and a financial decision. But at the end of the day, there was a sliver of solidarity between a big conglomerate of Bushiroad and a pro wrestling promotion that is not running the Tokyo Dome anytime soon, to kind of say, okay, it makes business sense for everybody, and wink, wink, we kept them at bay, at least for a little bit. The worst thing, I'm telling you right flat out, the worst thing, and again, people have to eat, and people have to pay their rent, and people have to survive. And sometimes when somebody comes in with a big check, it's hard to say no. I can appreciate the fact that at the very least there is some, again, it's not this big flag-waving, moment in Japanese pro wrestling history of we beat the big guy. But in a small sense, there is okay, we know what this is, let's stick together. So I like that. WWE trying to elbow their way in and just signing and writing checks. If we haven't learned anything from history in the past, that is not a good thing. So again, at least there's some recognition of the fact that, okay, let's stick together and keep these crumbs out of our turf.
Quite a few responses for this on Twitter. At CN Gamboa says, what's first order of business? Stardom seems straight financially, creatively, current roster of stars. Streaming was just revamped on a video game. I wonder if we notice a BR impact in the next year at all. So do you expect anything to change going forward?
I you know what? It's hard to say for me from a pro wrestling perspective, because I'm probably not the best person to ask of what would I expect from this talent and that talent. From a Stardom perspective, I think there are better people that can speak on that. But look, they have more money, and I don't care what anybody says. If you have a little more wiggle room to be a little bit more creative in your marketing or production or anything to make your product better, that's a good thing. Like I'm going to put this in everyday life. If you had an extra, I don't know, $2,000 per month, wouldn't that help? Right? Wouldn't that might make your life a little bit easier?
Yeah, if you're a Stardom fan, this is great news.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it impacts New Japan in any way, shape, or form from a financial perspective. And again, I'm not opposed, Joel, to having a major Stardom match on the Tokyo Dome show. I'm not opposed to that at all. I'm really not. Because they've done it before. It's not like that's a weird thing. They've had other promotions, and they've had mixed a mixed bag of matches.
Just my problem with that is if we take the track record of other stuff. So for example, ROH title. So if I'm correct, the last time that was defended at Wrestle Kingdom was Wrestle Kingdom 11, and there was a Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole ROH title match right in the middle of the card. It was 10 minutes long. The match was fine, but nobody gave a shit. It was just in front of a dead crowd.
Right.
And obviously, I'm scared the same thing's going to happen to Stardom. So let's say they put a Stardom title match in the middle of a Wrestle Kingdom. It's not going to get the reception that it deserves because you've got an arena full of New Japan Pro Wrestling fans, not Stardom fans.
Okay.
And that match might be better served to be on the main event of a Stardom show where it's going to get more time with a hotter crowd. So I think if you... personally, I would love to see it. If I'm, I'm going January 4th, January 5th, if you want to put a few Stardom matches there, yeah, I'm all in favour of it. But it's a bit of a slippery slope, isn't it?
It can be, but here's the thing. All right, so you're a new band. It's Escape the Box, right? And they got a chance to play in front of, Hyde Park, right? They're going to be the first band on. It's noon. Not everybody there. Everybody's there to see Liam Gallagher, right? And DMAs and blah, blah, blah. All right, so they have a whole set of bands, and Escape the Box is going to play. Is Dan going to sit there and say, you know what, this is probably not the audience that's going to, they're not going to know who we are. Or they're just going to be like, all right, we're going to go out there and fucking crush it. And hopefully we win some fans, right? And more people will check us out, right? I'm not saying put your biggest match, your biggest, you've booked this thing all year and you're going to stick them at the Tokyo Dome for 10 minutes, right? But what I am saying is that that can be a showplace for people to get more eyeballs, right? It can be. And I know the argument of, well, it's in front of a crowd that might not be as receptive to them and blah, blah. Win them over. Fucking go out there and win them over. And hopefully you can have more people watch your product as a result. Because every fucking band in the entire world has done the same thing. And I find it hard to believe that you can't translate that into pro wrestling. Look, how many people were familiar with any junior heavyweights from Mexico or Japan or whatever before, Nitro, right? And I think a lot of that helped people grow their pro wrestling fandom. But it was literally a show that they would just click a remote and boop, it was on, and they were there to see Hogan and Hall and Nash and Savage and Sting and all that. But yet on the undercard, you got Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Jericho, Malenko, Ultimo Dragon, Liger. You mean to tell me that didn't help their careers? Certainly did. I say go for it.
Okay, you make a convincing point there. Timmy on Twitter says, do you think Stardom content could be put on New Japan World where it's available every country but Japan, similar to how CMLL with Japanese commentary is available everywhere but Mexico?
What's the? I don't understand quite. What are we doing? Sorry, I got my
Do you
brain
think
exploded.
Stardom content should be put on New Japan World in all other countries apart from Japan, like they do with CMLL?
No. I mean, I'm not saying that eventually that they have a really solid streaming service that combines both. I'm not saying that in 3 years that doesn't happen. For right now, no, keep it separate. That's fine. And again, I would have zero problem having it be you have access to everything. That would be nice. I mean, it would be convenient. Joe, would you watch more Stardom if it were on New Japan World?
Yeah, I think I probably would.
I would. I know I would. But the fact that I got to now shell out another $9 or whatever it is, $10 for another streaming service, and that you're trying to make me a fan of, and some of it's free. And again, there are people that are bigger fans and know more about all. Just on the surface, just on the ease of use surface, which, trust me, I live and breathe every fucking day. Just to have it on with the one. Look, I'm not going to lie. It would make me watch it more. Cannot tell a lot. Again, the plan is to not do that. And the plan is to keep everything separate. Let's be very clear. I don't have a problem. And I want it to be separate. Let me make that very clear, too. I want it to be separate. I want them to be separate promotions. But there's nothing wrong with having matches on big shows. It really isn't, number one. And number two, if we're talking completely about ease of use, I think you're going to get more eyeballs if it is on World. But for right now, we're keeping them separate, and I'm cool with that.
Swordfish on Twitter says, since we're talking Stardom, can Damon remember any time there was a Joshi in a New Japan match? Was there ever any crossover between any Joshi company?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a mixed show, but one of the more the ones one that instantly pops in my head only because I just was recently reading more about it was that North Korean show, and they had all Japan women on that show. That was a little bit different. It was more of a cross thing. Yeah, I'm almost positive that they've had throughout the years at certain points on bigger shows they would have representatives from whatever, if it was Sendai Girls or if it was Seedling or whatever it was, or Arceon, or all these different promotions that have come and gone throughout. There have been times where New Japan has had those matches on there, and and they were usually pretty good. So no, I think I don't see I really don't see the big problem in that. And again, I understand the idea of you don't want to have it be your big match, your big, thing that you've been building for half a year, have it be a 8-minute match rushed through on the Tokyo Dome. I get that. That's not what you want to do. I don't want that. But to have a match on a Tokyo Dome show, look, I'll tell you right now. I'd rather see that than some meaningless, never 6-man gauntlet match. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess you could do it give us an exciting 10-minute match and then say, okay, if you want to see the rematch, where this is going to be main event, Crackle and Hall, 25 minutes, non-stop action, then check out this show on this date.
Yeah. You mean to tell me Kevin Kelly can't be like, okay, and Chris Charlton and Gino can't be like, okay, give the people who don't know what we're watching here and the people that we're seeing, give us, sell it to us. Do what you guys do best. Tell us why this is important. Tell me why this person is great. Tell me why this person is not great. Tell me why this person's a heel. What does that take? Right? And then put on a great match. And then, hey, you want to see more? Boop. Here's where they are. How does that hurt anyone? How does that hurt anyone? you're opening your product to new fans. You now own the company, and people will do that. I mean, again, look, one of the biggest things that I loathe is when I have pockets of friends that are stuck in a musical mode, right? Where it's like, okay, they don't make songs like they used to, man. And it's like, they kind of do. You kind of just got to find it. You're just too fucking lazy to do it. Okay, but that's with everything, right? There's movies that I'm sure I would enjoy. There's TV shows I'm sure. I just don't, have the time or the effort to go scope everything out, right? This is a way to do that. This is how you got to do it. I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't at all. Again, do I want a New Japan Pro Wrestling women's division? No, not particularly. I don't. I want Stardom to be successful, right? And that's how you do that.
Nuclear Potato on the Discord says, so now that Bushiroad has acquired Stardom, when can we anticipate the spin-off monthly Stardom podcast? And Rika Tatsumi says, are you renaming to the Super Stardom J-Cast? I will say this, Damon, if they do put a Stardom show on Wrestle Kingdom, I would love to get someone who is knowledgeable about the scene onto the podcast to talk to us and prime us about that match or matches that are going to be on that show.
I absolutely would be 100% open to that because, truth be told, we're not the experts. But here's the thing. Who knows? 2 years from now, maybe we're like, oh, that match and this, and we're talking about angles and talking about, who knows, right? That could be a good thing.
I know for a fact there are a ton of people on our Discord who are extremely knowledgeable about that scene. So I hate to say more podcasts, but I definitely think there's a gap in the market for a podcast in that area. I do too.
I 100% agree with that, number one. And number two, there's nothing wrong with finding new stuff that's cool. There ain't nothing wrong with that. And learning from other people about that, I'm all in on that. Do it. And the whole more podcast things, yeah, okay, great, another podcast. If it's good, people will listen, right? That I truly believe that. If people think it's good, the cream rises to the top and the shit falls by the wayside.
Lastly, John, the host of Wrestling Omakase, says, Damon and Joel, please each pick a Stardom wrestler who is actually you. Thank you.
I can't. I don't know. I don't know a lot. But I mean, seriously.
Who's the one that drinks a lot?
That's me. That's me. I feel like such a boob because I don't watch a lot of it and because I just don't have time. But here's the thing. Put a gun to my head. Aside from main events, it's not like I'm watching a lot of, Big Japan recently. It's not like I'm watching a ton of Noah
you won't be
recently.
Watching much of it soon if the rumors are to be believed.
Right, ain't that true? So, in the past couple, because again, I don't want to make excuses, but it's hard for me to catch shit now. This is like busy season for me, so it is very difficult to squeeze stuff in. So I can only get the high level stuff. Main events I'll catch, but I can't sit and watch whole shows for the most part. I don't really structure my day very well, I guess. But I like a Stardom show from front to back. It would have to be months for me to give you like I've watched it from front to back. So, John, you put me in a spot. I can't fucking answer it. Sorry, I couldn't give you a really solid good answer.
It's Sumire Natsu is the lady who I think is the drinker. Okay. So that's Damon.
That's me.
Yep. Me, I don't know. Can I just say Hana Kimura because she's hot?
You sure can.
She's my I'm not saying that I'm hot. I just really like her. Okay, next Fantastico Mania lineup.
Yeah.
So, announced for it's Damon's favourite thing. We have excuse me. Let's see who have we got here announced for that. So this year's entrants are Caristico, Negro Casas, Angel de Oro, Niebla Roja. Oh, I'm just going to make a fool of myself pronouncing these really badly.
Great.
The new Birdman Flyer, Titan, Soberano Jr., Ordaz, Stuka Jr., Guerrero Maya Jr., Fuego, Ultimo Guerrero, Euphoria, Sanson El Cuatrero Forestero, Barbaro Cavanario, my favorite. I like the caveman. Okamura, and Luciferno, Tiga, and Dulce Gardenia. Now, what was interesting from this statement is no Volador Jr.
No Volador Jr., huh? Okay.
You're going to be tuning out this year. That's the line to sound. No Volador, no Fantastico Mania for Damon. That's that.
I'm out. It's just, again, I understand you don't have to try and sell me. You don't have to tweet us. You don't have to. You just save your breath, because it's just one of those things where it's just like they're on. And I say this with the full knowledge that last night is pretty good, right? Overall, and for the past 2 tours, I have remembered raving about it. Like, right as I sit here, close to November, the furthest thing from my mind is Fantastico Mania. Like, it's just, I know they do it to have fun. I know it's a nice little tour for the guys they bring in. They make some decent coin with the exchange rate and all that stuff. But
am I right in saying they do Mexican food at Krakowan as well?
Do they?
I think so. I heard that somewhere. If someone could confirm or deny that, that'd be great.
Don't spoil the great chicken recipe. Right? It's already great.
I've heard that the chicken. What is it? Chicken nuggets or chicken tenders or something at Krakowan?
Yeah,
I've never had them.
They are good, but they're not like the greatest thing you ever. But they're good for what you would get at an arena. Eric is a weird eater in the sense of, and it's weird because it's a lot of people from South Philly. It's a South Philly thing where you would think you live in a neighborhood where you're pretty notorious for having just some of the best food in our region when it comes to Italian food, and even like a lot of cross-cultural foods. It's just a real melting pot of great places to eat. He has the palate of a 12-year-old, right? Like chicken fingers and fucking like. So he loves these things. He will buy 2 at a time and devour them, and then go crush some more. And then there's a little ice cream vending machine that he fucking loves. It's good. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the spices, Joel. I don't know if it's. I don't know. But it's it just has this unique taste that when you got a little bit of a load on and you're watching some pro wrestling, it really is good. It's shockingly good. Highly recommend.
I might start planning my packed lunch for the 2 Wrestle Kingdom shows, because it was a bit of an afterthought at the time. And then when I came in, I was disappointed with the snacks that I brought. So I've got a good few months to sort that out. So I'm going to plan the ultimate lineup of treats to get me through these 2 shows.
I'm telling you, that's the best. That's one of the best parts, is that you can bring shit from outside in. You know what I mean? So and again, that Lawson's gets crowded, but you bring.
But here's the thing, Damon. Right, when I'm in Japan, right, I need to have like 2 brilliant meals every day. Otherwise, it's a waste. If I have one mediocre meal in my time in Japan, I get annoyed because I'm like, I've missed an opportunity to eat some delicious Japanese food. So whilst I love doing the meetup that we did at TGI Fridays, there was a big part of me that was like, I've wasted a meal here. So if I can offset that by having a really delicious packed lunch with some good quality stuff in there, then that's, mitigated that somehow.
All right, we'll do that. Let's go all out.
Give me suggestions, listeners.
Well, here's what we do.
Stuff that I can bring in the Tokyo Dome.
Right. I say we bring in a table and a white linen cloth. we have like a little banquet in our row. It'd be wonderful. It'd be like a little potluck.
So make us a packed lunch. Come our listeners in Japan, make us a packed lunch.
Oh my God. You know what? Yes, that would be so great if we could have a packed lunch. Yeah, we have like a little buffet outside, right? We'll set it up. We'll sample different foods. That might be a great idea.
I want someone to bring, give me a wicker basket with a lovely sort of blanket over it,
right?
With
Plates.
treats and little snacks and meals that I can take into the Tokyo Dome and eat throughout this, and maybe like a little instruction. So the first match, eat this. After the second match, eat this, and just like a little tasting menu.
Yeah, we want a tasting menu. Is what we want. That's what we want. But we could do it. But also we could have it outside, right? So everybody's around, right? And we maybe, because we always wind up being by the stairs where where they're selling all the gimmicks. Just hang out there. Set something up there. We have a little spot. It'd be like a little potluck, a little buffet. I was
just gonna say a potluck. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? Everybody brings a little something. Oh.
Yeah, but I also need something for in the show as well.
Yeah.
That's a long show, David.
It is. Although I will say this, the burgers in the Dome are really fucking good. I had a burger.
I'm not eating a burger on my Japan holiday, David.
Okay, but they're good. They're good. I know. All right, listen, I'm sorry. But they're good. It's a good burger. I mean, because I was in a pinch because I didn't know what to eat. And it was, I was half, off my coconut. And, burger sounded fucking great at the time. And it was good. All right, that's the plan. All right, we got it lined up. We're doing potluck.
And that's what happens when we're forced to discuss Fantastico Mania. Sticking with Wrestle Kingdom, we got a bit of news on that, which is that Gino Gambino is going to be officially on commentary for Wrestle Kingdom 14. And we found out he's a big fan of Scampi. So I uploaded that photo of Scampi doing the Naito pose, and he was the first person who smashed that like button. So I already like Gino even more than I did before, which was quite a lot because I've been quite effusive in my praise for Gino. I think he does a really good job on commentary. I think that 3-man booth with Kevin and Gino and Chris is really starting to come into its own. There's a really nice balance there with Kevin sort of steering the ship, doing the play-by-play. You've got Gino, who I think is very good at getting over the stories and also just the little things like the sort of pain that a wrestler might be in a particular hold, or how an injured body part might be playing into their performance during a match, and also a lot of the comedy heel shtick with the Bullet Club stuff, which personally I enjoy. I don't find it mars my enjoyment of the matches. And then Chris chipping in now and then with the historical context. So I think between the three of them, for me, I think that's a really good announcing booth. And obviously we're not going to be hearing it live for Wrestle Kingdom, but I think it's good that that's nailed on for the Dome.
Yeah. I mean, I like what that we got. I like the heel stuff from Gino doesn't get over the top because sometimes that can get a little annoying when you have that quote heel announcer. I think it's a well-oiled machine they have. I like what they got. Gino, it's funny because I remember being in that Fridays before some show. I don't even know what show it was, but we were at the bar and we saw him walking by, and Eric was telling me about how he was in his his Real Hero archive group, Facebook group that was pretty. Wrestling Classics, I believe it was what it was called. He was in it. He's like, oh, yeah, that guy's in our group, blah, blah, blah. And I never met him before. And we were going to go run out and meet him, but we were at the bar. We couldn't run out of Fridays because we looked like we would be dodging our check. So I never met him, but he seems like a good guy, right? Seems like a real good guy. So good. Listen, I love it when we have acknowledgement from people in New Japan. Boy, do we ever get. I was sending you some text messages over the weekend. They were pretty great. It's good that we have many listeners over there who, again, when those flights happen, they're on the bus and they're trying to kill some time, the first thing they go to is the Super J-Cast. So that's always good. I'm glad we can entertain the boys with a Z.
Now, that said, Damon, lest we be accused of favoritism and being co-opted, Daryl Sultan on Twitter says, I love Kevin Kelly and Don Callas together. Maybe the greatest commentary team since Vince and Jesse, and I'm hoping they're both there for Wrestle Kingdom. No disrespect to Chris or Rocky or Gino or Mavs, but I can't be the only one who feels this way, can I? So what are your thoughts on the Kevin Kelly and Don Callas partnership? Because it seems that that's done. I don't think we're going to be hearing that one again.
Yeah, no. I think that's done. And I think, Gino and the reasons of him getting at least a tryout and making the most of that is largely due to that fact, is that they needed a new color guy. And yeah, I wouldn't, if you're a fan of that booth, you might be disappointed a little bit, because I don't think that's going to be, you're going to be hearing that anytime soon. And again, I know Callas has obligations with Impact, and they're trying to grow. And as we open the show, let's be truthful here. We're in that pile. That's the pile that this New Japan Pro Wrestling US expansion is. That those are the people we have to get by first, right? And clearly, take the market share from that audience to be able to grow. So, yeah, it's going to be a hard thing to do.
Okay, next, toys.
What?
I don't know. Are you a collection of action figures and toys, Damon?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. To answer your question, yes, but I'm not like one of those people that like have every WWE thing stapled to their wall. I collect a few. I mean, mostly Liger stuff. So if it's a Liger figure, I'm pretty much going to go out of my way to get it. Aside from that, I have a couple. I have a Kawada, Misawa. If it's cool, I'll get it. Yeah, I got no problem with the figures. I collect them.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the company Super 7, because they make the figures, and they announced that they're going to be making New Japan figures. So Ian, young Damon on the Discord, says, have you seen the Super 7 Jushin Thunder Liger figure? Did you guys ever collect figures?
Yeah, I have seen it, and I am going to get it. It will be in my possession. Yeah, like I said, at my desk, at my main desk in my office is I have this little glass thing that has several Liger figures, different variations. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to go out and buy every single. I'm not like one of those maniacs that waits for Toys R Us to open to go grab my variant Asuka figure. But if I like it, I'll get it. I have a Nakamura one. When the first one came out, the WWE one, I did pick that up. So it's not all of them. I have the 4 Horsemen set that the WWE put out. So it's not, like I said, I'm not grabbing everything, but if it's cool, if it checks the nostalgia box, if it's Liger related, if it's cool. Totocon, when I go, I'll usually pick up something. So yeah, I guess I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore collector, but if something's cool, I'll pick it up, definitely.
I used to have some WWE action figures when I was younger, and I would like to have maybe a few little New Japan ones, something I could put on my desk or something at school. So I'll be on the lookout for that. Yeah, if it looks good, I'll definitely be interested. Yeah. Other news: Showdown in San Jose to see Jushin Thunder Liger's final US match, and some other names that have been announced. We also have Ishii, we got Toru Yano, we got Taiji Ishimori, who have been confirmed for those shows on November 9th and November 11th. So, Damon, are you going to be making the trip to see Liger's final stateside appearance? The Liger farewell tour?
So, no, I can't. I mean, there was so during the weekend I was kind of just looking at how much would it cost if I were to do this. As of right now, no, I will not be going out there. Just too expensive. I gotta worry about Japan. I gotta worry about all that and save for that, and the airlines fucking us over constantly, moving flights around and all that shit, which is causing me great anxiety. But no, as of right now, no. But let's put it this way: there has been thoughts. We'll see if it grows any, but luckily it's only a couple weeks. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's a 90 no, unless a fairy godmother comes by and gets me a plane ticket and a hotel. It ain't happening.
Another very short piece of news here was Aussie Open wrestler Mark Davis had picked up an injury. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I think he might have done his cruise shirt. So there was a lot of talk, especially following their appearance at Royal Quest, challenging Gorillas of Destiny, that they would be likely to appear in the World Tag League, but with Davis being injured, unfortunately that looks like it's going to be impossible. So unfortunate there for Mark Davis. And I don't know if Fletcher will be in there as well, if we'll find another partner, but very bad.
Yeah, that sucks. That's actually pretty depressing, because you really had them figured on that, and that's a usual spot where people will start to make some debuts and just to get people used to seeing them around, and then eventual challenges and such. So
I've looked at it's a torn ACL and ruptured MCL.
Oof, that's not good. That's honestly that's a year, right? I mean, I know pro wrestlers love to come back earlier from their injuries. That's a year. That's if surgery's involved, that's a year. I mean, that's a Carson Wentz for those football fans. That's both of them, MCL and ACL. Oof. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, hopefully a speedy recovery, but those things usually that's a year on the shelf. That sucks.
The other thing that popped up that I thought was quite interesting was an interview on the New Japan website with El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
I read it.
And it was interesting, wasn't it? Some stuff that made me raise my eyebrows. They were talking about the El Fantasma and Taiji Ishimori versus Birds of Prey match, and El Desperado says a lot of jumping around. And then he says, on the one hand, I want to say, yeah, it was cool, awesome, spectacular, good job, clap, clap, clap. But on the other hand, I thought you don't have to flip all over the place to win a match. But you know what sucked? Komatsu and Tanaka's match with Phantasmo and Ishimori in Korakuen. It was like they were wrestling two singles matches in one, not a tag match at all. So I like this statement. It's like the old days of the junior tag division being guys sort of quasi-shooting on each other with their snidey little comments.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, obviously it's a pro wrestling interview, but even then, I'm sure that guys don't necessarily like to hear that kind of criticism, right? I know people love to I don't know, speculate or romanticize what a pro wrestling locker room is, like this fucking kumbaya, everybody's, rowing in the same direction kind of thing. And there are locker rooms that
Apart
can
from
be
Suzuki,
like,
who's just going around telling everyone that he's leading.
right. He's very, very forthcoming with his plans. It's really not that. It's in my experience, and again, this is years ago, mind you, but even in everything that I talk to people about, it's pockets. It's like there's still individuals, and there's still I want to say individual contractors to a certain degree. Their job is to make as much money as they can in the short amount of time that they can. So they're trying everything in their power to get themselves over so that they can be put in more prominent positions and they can take those spots that we talk about that not many people get. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they have to be. So when somebody goes out on an interview and, throws the shade, if you will, they got to be, I don't know, sometimes it might light a fire under people. But it's not like this whole, there's separate packets and there's separate people. And it's not like this whole synergy in a locker room. It is to a certain degree of, oh, you're working with these guys tonight. Okay, cool. Or in some cases, we got these guys tonight, right? So there is that element, and I kind of do, like you said, I kind of like that fact of, I don't want to say pulling back the curtain a little bit, but just kind of just seeing what's in their minds of, okay, I didn't really like this match, or I like this, or these guys I don't really like getting in the ring with, and these guys I prefer. I kind of like that idea.
The other quote that I thought was funny was the interviewer asked what El Desperado's thoughts were on El Fantasma. Despy goes, my thoughts, why does that guy always look so tired?
Jet lag, I would think. Right? That would probably be a huge factor in it. And again, I say it all the time. I don't know how the fuck these guys do it. Whew. Well, unfortunately, with the travel, you heard the horror stories of, take something to stay up, take something to go to bed. And I don't know how prevalent it is in this world's pro wrestling. But and it's just wow. I really feel like you got to be able to either go without sleep, or you got to be able to be a person who can sleep in transport, because I don't know how you would survive otherwise. And again, I get off a plane and I'm like, oh, I'm dead, but I don't got to get in a ring, and work a 20-minute match. God bless them. They are one tough crew. One tough crew.
So you might remember El Phantasmo was the winner of last year's Rev Pro British J Cup, and they've announced the lineup for the J Cup this year. We have Robbie Eagles, Amazing Red, El Phantasmo, Barbaro Cavanario, Michael Oku, Rocky Romero, Senza Volta, and Pac. That's an exciting lineup to me, Damon.
That's not bad. I mean, when you consider the climate of pro wrestling right now, where it's sign, everybody locking down, get them, we need them on, there's not a lot out there that can take those bookings, and for Rev Pro's credit, to consistently have an interesting lineup like that. Yeah, good job. I mean, on paper anyway. Now they got to find a way to book themselves out of this mess. Right? Who's losing to who is going to be another story altogether. But at least on paper, they're bringing in interesting names, and they're trying to make it work. Good for them. I like it.
Who do you think is the favourite? Who's jumping off the page to you from that list of 8?
You think in the past years that they went with Liger, and then El Phantasmo, right? What do you think about Robbie Eagles?
I was thinking that as well. I think Eagles would be a good shout. I'm hearing good things about Oku, so maybe he might be someone homegrown they want to go with. But then I also thought Pac, who just never loses in these kind of matches. So
no,
either he wins the whole thing, or there's going to be some sort of schmoz finish that ends up with him not progressing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was already some pushback because of similar situations like that, where they've got matches booked where they can't book them any way out of it, so it's got to be some fucking schmozola finish, right? I would not be surprised if that is the case in that, but we'll see. Hey, maybe he wins the whole thing. Who knows? But yeah, again, it's not like it's the Dragon Gate situation here, but you figure some guys might need to have a little bit of protection around them in a tournament like this.
You surprised that Ospreay's not in there?
What's the date of the tournament?
I don't know. Let me have a look.
Take a look.
Pro British J Cup 2019. There we go. It's November 24th at York Hall.
All right. Trying to think what's happening in the world that would conflict with that. I guess on the surface a little bit, just because he's the guy that wants to sign up for everything and be in everything.
Okay. So there is a World Tag League show on that day in IG. So does this mean that he's going to be in the World Tag League as well?
Where would you rather see him?
I really like Will Ospreay. He's good. He's definitely in the running for Wrestler of the Year. But
yep.
I think I've seen enough Will Ospreay for 2019, if I'm honest.
Right. So, all right. So, do you want him hidden in World Tag League, or do you want him in a big, high-profile British J Cup?
World Tag League, actually.
Yeah.
Because then if he's making some tag matches that otherwise might be hand waveable, just maybe a little bit more interesting. But if I'm sitting down to watch the British J Cup, maybe I don't need another 3 25-minute Will Ospreay main event epics.
I like those. Again, I'm a glutton. You can spoon feed me them, and I'll ask for more. All right. So again, we can speculate and think that Will would be in World Tag League during that time. So okay, all right. Again, pure speculation. That's why that was going to be my question, because Robbie's sitting there over there, flippy doing over there at the British J Cup. Who's going to be the partner? Who? Well, you figure a Chaos member, right? Are we still doing Chaos?
Or Tanahashi.
Oh. Who's taking the falls on that team?
Yeah, good point. Yoshihashi.
Right. So I mean, you figure if it's chaos, right? You figure Yoshihashi's got it is the pin eater on that team. I'm not saying it's going to be Will and Yoshihashi. Could very well be like Ishii and Yoshihashi. I don't know. Again, that doesn't necessarily even mean that he's in 100%, but
maybe this might shock you. Maybe he's gonna have a rest during that time.
I mean, Joel, please, outlandish. You and your crazy hot takes. He should rest.
Yeah, I'll take off my tinfoil hat. All right, let's talk about the Super Junior Tag League then. And let's check my notes here. Titan's dick.
What?
Have you seen this?
Titan's dick?
Yeah.
We're talking about
This is
his
a tweet
penis.
His penis, yeah, his willy.
Uh-huh.
No, you're not up to date with the...
Are you
Okay, let me send you the tweet. I thought you might have seen this, but I realised me just saying Titan's dick might have caught you off guard a little bit.
All right.
Okay. Now I've got to scroll through Will Ospreay's Twitter and okay.
What? You guys, like that. This is not good. All right, we're talking about Titan the wrestler.
I found it. All
right, send that to me,
Okay,
please.
so check your WhatsApp.
All right, can't wait for this to come through space. All right, here we are. It's his dick. It's pronounced. So it's again, what we're looking at is a torso shot, and this is Titan, and the shot is the outline of, and he's in
just for context, right? If you go click on the original tweet, the guy at Smart Casual at Global Force Gold. So you go to that tweet, and the original one,
right,
from
so
Ospreay, that the baby faces assemble one.
Gotcha. Right. So it's posed. It's Ospreay. It's Hanare. I see there. Who else we got there? Tanahashi and Sho and Holman. They're all flexing. They're all giving a nice little flex shot, right? Showing off their muscles. And then Titan is on his knees, and he's giving the bicep curl and showing off those guns. And his dick is pronounced. There is a outline of a big hog in there, a big, thick, juicy, delicious hog. And then
I feel we should have opened the show with this. This is
right.
like absolute prime Super J-Cast opening 5 minutes content.
Right, and then this Smart Casual, again, at Global Force Gold, noticed it as well and has highlighted and zoomed in on said big, thick, meaty, delicious hog. And it is, it's pronounced. It's there. It's definitely front and center. So, what about this dick, Titan's dick? What
I was just looking at the comments. Did you see Dragon Lee's comment?
No, we go back. Dragon Lee, so hot, Will. Dragon Lee.
Is he allowed to comment on photos of CMLL wrestlers' penises?
That's a good point. That might get him into even further trouble. Yeah, babyface, penis jokes. All right, everything's. Somebody has a straight guy. I looked at this way too long.
I think we talked about this for too long. But yeah, okay. So aside from Titan's penis, let's talk about attendance for the Super Junior Tag League. So with 1,384 for the first night Korakuen and 1,209 for the second night, New Japan drew their lowest Korakuen Hall numbers of 2019. The last time they drew fewer fans there than these days was on April the 12th, 2016, which wasn't a proper show. It was a company briefing special match. So if you're looking at reasons, those cards, there was no Tanahashi, no Okada, no Ibushi. It was on a weekday. Very little promotion due to being very close to King of Pro Wrestling. Lots of excuses, but is it just me, Damon, or are those kind of numbers at Korakuen just, they're not good, whatever way you try and spin it?
Yeah, I'm not expecting those type of numbers to continue throughout the year, right? And then, I don't think this is something to be alarmed with and be concerned with and use that as a basis or a barometer of the success of New Japan Pro Wrestling in the calendar year 2019. That being said, there's shit numbers, right? There's shit numbers. And from what I understand, it wasn't even the orange seats that were sold, or excuse me, that were empty. There were a few pockets, but by and large, those orange seats were good. It was the ringside and those bleacher seats. The camera was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, but those are fan club usual purchases. So I don't even know if those tickets weren't. It felt to me like it wasn't a matter of those tickets not being sold. It was a matter of those tickets just not being used. Does that make any sense? It's kind of like a preseason football game where you paid for the tickets, but ain't no fucking way I'm sitting through this shit. Right?
Happens at Arsenal all the time. So they've already bought the ticket as part of their season ticket, and they just don't bother turning up. They do have a thing called ticket exchange where people can say, I'm not going to go to this match. Does anyone want the ticket? But you think similar thing at play here?
Possibly. Again, from what I understand, the orange seats were not a factor. It was these seats that were fan club seats. Now, again, I don't know if they've got to buy these in advance and all the but it felt like these seats were already bought. And I could be dead wrong, but I'll get verification of that and clarification of that. But it felt like, this was a preseason game. And truth be told, coming off of King of Pro Wrestling, 2 days later, now we're kind of hopping onto a show that, let's be truthful, traditionally and historically hasn't really been a world beater, right? When it comes to attendance and interest. And look, let's be truthful. It's not like we had a ton of buzz in our Discord, if we want to use that as a barometer of what New Japan fandom is talking about. I have seen very little when it comes to, and again, I'm not Mr. Social Media, mind you, but every once in a while, if I'll pop on, and I'm not seeing a ton of shit about it. I'm not seeing the usual people with the gifts and people hyping up matches, and it's low on people's radar right now. And it will pick up. I guarantee. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about. But opening night, middle of the week, coming off of King of Pro Wrestling, and truth be told, let's be honest here too. People were like, "What about the Typhoon?" Well, again, the Typhoon's long gone. The cleanup isn't, right? So you're going to King of Pro Wrestling, and all right, let me get my mind off of this fucking shit. Whatever, I'm not saying everybody's house was destroyed, but I'm sure people still have got shit to do and responsibilities for it. All right, you're going to go to King of Pro Wrestling. Okay, there's another one. Oh, what's the main event? Oh, it's that, you know what? Maybe we should mop the floors, right? Maybe we should take out some boxes. So again, all these things play a factor, but at the end of the day, if it were sexy, and if it were something people were interested in, people would go. And that's really, truthfully, the bottom line. So we can throw all the excuses in the world. At the end of the day, if it was something people wanted to see, people would see it.
Michael on the Discord says, ask the attendance of the Super Junior Tag League is noticeably poor for New Japan Korakuen shows. What can we attribute to this? No LIJ contingent in the cup or TJP being an anti-draw? It's got nothing to do with TJP, but I think he might be onto something with not having LIJ contingent in the cup, because I'm not saying that Bushi is a huge draw or anything, but I think last year there was the added buzz because it was coming after the debut of Shingo. So he debuted at King of Pro Wrestling, and then there was the added attraction of, okay, you go to the Super Junior Tag League and you're going to see Shingo wrestling, full tag matches against people like Roppongi 3K or Desperado Kanemaru. So Shingo not being there and not having that novelty, I think, is definitely playing a part to this. But let's talk about the Super Junior Tag League itself. I've got my thoughts here, Damon. Do you want to go first for this one? Tell me what your overarching thoughts are, because I'm not going to go match by match here, but you want to just tell me what your impressions are, anyone that stood out to you, anyone impressed you or disappointed you.
I like what I see, right? And look, I kind of feel the same way in the sense of I gotta look. There are different levels of me and my excitement going into knowing full well that, okay, I got to watch some of the shit. I got to watch these shows. And that could be a road to destruction. That could be a Road to Dontaku. That could be G1 Finals, and that could be King of Pro Wrestling, right? So obviously there's different levels and different levels of excitement going in. I had to be reminded that the Korakuen shows were taking place, right? So for me, it was, okay, I gotta get in on this. I gotta watch these. Nothing was terrible. Nothing was awful. Nothing was bad. Nothing was something where I would be passionately spewing venom into my microphone. But I kind of feel the same way that everyone across the board feels. Good. Nothing that you have to go out of your way to catch. The usual suspects that you would think are good have been good. Kanemaru, Desperado, Will, Robbie Eagles. But nothing's blowing you out of the water, especially nights 1 and 2 of a junior tag tournament. As it gets further, yeah, sure. But I hate to be as dry and as vanilla toast on a take, but it's like, okay, I feel like I'm watching shows, Joel, to watch shows, to say that, okay, we got through it, let's move on to the next. And I don't know if that is the greatest way to go into a show, but I didn't really feel like even after the show, know what I said? That was a show. Right? That's exactly that was a show. And to me, unfortunately, the crowd, or lack thereof, was more of a thing that I was more focused on than necessarily the show itself.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, this is always a bit of a slow period in the New Japan calendar, but the work has been good. The matches have been decent, I think. So if it's something you just going to stick on in the background while you're cleaning up the kitchen or whatever, you could do worse than these matches. Some thoughts that I had. This tournament is making me more of a fan of Yuya Uemura, who's impressed me so far. In his opening match, I thought he had some really good interactions with Titan. There was this moment where they were screaming at each other, having this chop exchange. I don't know if Titan's penis was fueling that rage in Uemura, if he just caught a little glimpse at it and was just like, and just was engulfed by jealousy. But the crowd are really into Uemura, so I think they've got something on their hands there. I could see him being a big star in the future. And I've just been impressed with Titan as well, who I think is a really good wrestler. I think he's a big upgrade on Soberano Jr., who struggled with this tour last year. And Volador's outfits are a bit weird. He was wearing black trunks and a skin-tight gold long-sleeve top. So I was looking at it, I was like, okay, that's a choice. Bold, I'll give him that, and definitely different, but I'm not sure I like it. And Taguchi Rocky, I'm enjoying the chemistry between them. There have been some fun moments there, like there was a moment where they were both locked in submission holds, and then Taguchi started drawing out a play on the mat for them to both escape. I thought that was pretty funny. And Despre and Kanemaru against Sho and Yo was really good. I liked El Desperado trying to smother Sho with his own teddy bear. And they told a really good story in that match. They were going after Sho's back, and then the match ended in a submission with them working over Sho's back. So that's, again, I keep banging on about this, but the only time I want to see a body part being worked over, it's got to play it to the finish like that, and I thought they did it really well there. And then the next night, Sho was wearing the tape on his back to sell the extent of his injury. So again, I like the continuity in that. And speaking of that, El Phantasmo was also taped up. His neck was all taped up to sell the effects of the devastating hidden blade that he ate from Will Ospreay at King of Pro Wrestling. And again, I thought it was a pretty fun match that he had with the Birds of Prey against El Phantasmo and Ishimori. And I said before, but I do enjoy El Phantasmo a lot more in tag matches where you're just getting little bite-sized chunks of El Phantasmo rather than, full 25-minute main event style match. Like there was a moment that I thought was really cool when he was doing the rope walk and he had Will Ospreay's arm twisted and he's doing the rope walk, and then Robbie Eagles came to try and lariat El Phantasmo's legs from under him, but he bounced up and jumped up from doing the rope walk, and Robbie Eagles went tumbling over, and then El Phantasmo landed back on the ropes. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was playing into El Phantasmo's strengths of him being, a flashy, a showman. I thought that was good stuff there. And a little moment that amused me here, which was El Phantasmo doing the bit where the opponent's hung up on the top rope and he's stepping on their crotch. And then someone said, I can't remember what happened exactly, but Gino Gambino says, oh, here's El Phantasmo working the lower abdomen there. And then Chris Charlton goes, lower abdomen. And then Gino says, I'm not a doctor. I thought that was funny. I think that's the kind of stuff that you wouldn't have got that, I think, if it was Chris with Don Callas, because I think Don Callas may be... the impression I got was quite... Yeah, he's intimidating. So maybe Chris is not able to sort of bounce off him and have that sort of comedic chemistry with him, but I thought it worked really well here, and there's just lots of little moments like that which made me chuckle and definitely enhanced my enjoyment of it. I would like an amnesty on the hot tag partner getting yanked off the apron, where they're waiting for the hot tag, they're about to tag in, and then this seems to happen in every tag match now. I blame the Revival for that because they started it. They were doing it in every single match they had in NXT. Crowd really love Robbie Eagles. He seems like a huge star with the Kraken crowd, and the Eagles and Ishimori sequences in particular in this match I thought were terrific, and that was a singles match that I didn't know I wanted, but now I really want to see Robbie Eagles against Taiji Ishimori. And again, we had El Phantasmo going for the one-winged angel. Not sure why he was doing that. And if you're doing that in a huge match at Sumo Hall against Will Ospreay for the junior the junior title, then okay, maybe you can accept that. But in the opening night of Super Junior Tag League, no, it didn't do it for me. But that said, some really creative spots. And I just wanted to single out Robbie Eagles for praise. It's just, he really understands the way he structures matches. The little touches, like earlier in the match, he went for his 450 and got caught by the knees. So then later on in the match, when Ospreay went up for the shooting star press, Eagles came in to hold down El Phantasmo's legs, so he couldn't get the knees up. There was another bit in the Roppongi 3K match where he did a 450 off the top rope and he saw Yo get his knees up, so Eagles landed on his feet and then went into the I think it was the Ron Miller special after that. So just the small little touches like that make matches unique, and you think, oh, that was really smart because it played into the story of the match. I think Robbie Eagles is really, really good at that. I think he's an intelligent wrestler, and the way he lays out his matches with those little sort of punctuation spots throughout the match to sort of make everything tie together cohesively and make you feel like you're watching something unique, like a unique story being told, rather than just, I'm going to go out there and do all my moves, do all my big spots. The Desperado Kanemaru match against El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori was quite fun. They're just, two heel teams trying to out shithouse each other. And then we had Birds of Prey against Roppongi 3K, and I thought the Show Ospreay bits were very, very good there. So again, that's a singles match that we saw during the Super J Cup. I think it was the semi-final, which is very, very good. So I think those two have got really good chemistry. And so Yo and Robbie Eagles, they were together in the same block in the Best of the Super Juniors. And again, I thought they had some really cool stuff here, particularly the finish where they were exchanging holds and near holds and countering each other's pinfall attempts. And then Yo won with the clutch finish, which is really good because I love to see when those like back and forth roll-ups and clutches and cradles actually end up with the finish of the match, because it needs to happen now and then for you to be able to take it seriously rather than thinking, oh, it's just filling time until they start hitting each other with their finishing moves. Right. And from the recent show that was uploaded, they just uploaded the two tag league shows, the tag league matches. The opening of Titan and Volador against Birds of Prey was really good. So it's as you would expect from two lucha guys and two high-flying guys like Eagles and Ospreay. Just the opening 5 minutes of that were a lot of fun. So definitely, if you were going to skip that, because it's just video on demand, you're not getting commentary, I would say definitely go and check out that match, because very hot opening, and it doesn't go too long. It's just a really fun, high-paced, high-flying match.
I'm going to do this. So let's go through these. I'm not going to ask you for a letter grade, but I'll set the letter grade. You just tell me if you feel like so far, and it's early, but from what you've been able to catch, over or above. So I'll set the letter grade out of the gate. You tell me if their performance so far has beaten that or it's fallen short. All right. Let's do Tiger Mask and Urema. I'm going to set it at a C. Have they been below average or above average?
I would give a C+, like just above that. I think the Uemura parts have been a lot more interesting to me than Tiger
Right.
Mask. I mean, you know what you're going to get with Tiger Mask. So I'm just watching that team for Uemura and seeing him against fresh opponents just to see what he can do. So I think he is doing well so far. Considering Scampy's come to join us.
Hi. Wow.
Considering Uemura is just there to take the pinfalls and he can only do and show so much in these matches, I think he's doing a good job. So I'd just say, yeah, slightly above that. Maybe C+, B- for Uemura.
Okay. Taguchi Romero, I'll set at a B-.
Yeah, on par, I would say that
Okay.
a B- for me.
Okay. Will Ospreay, Robbie Eagles, I'll set the bar at B+.
I think it's been above that. I would give it an A-, and maybe the minus just because I've seen a lot of Will Ospreay this year, and maybe I want to break. I want to see something different. But Robbie Eagle, the matches are really good. What can I say? It's high paced. It's creative. They're doing some really cool combination tag team moves together. It's good, and the tag league would be worse off without them. A-.
Okay. Show and Yo, I'll set them at an A-. Higher than that or lower than that?
Maybe a tad lower.
Okay.
It's all been good, but I haven't seen anything blow away. There hasn't been anything where I've seen them and I thought, oh, wow, they've really impressed me with that one.
Right. I agree. Volador, Teton, I'll set it at an even B.
I think they've been good.
Yeah.
I might... B's probably about right.
B+?
But
Would you go B+?
I was expecting it to be lower than that. And the matches that I've watched them in, I've really enjoyed. A lot more than last year's team, which was that Volador and Soberano Jr.?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that correctly?
I guess. Sure. Yes, absolutely. Are you giving him an extra point for penis? Yes or no?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Teton's hog, he gets bumped up half a grade.
It sure does. TJP Clark Connors. I'm going to set it at a B.
Tad below. I would like to see more from TJP. And Clark Connors is very green, so I'm not expecting a great deal from him, but I've seen better stuff from TJP in New Japan over the last couple of months, so I think still expecting more from him.
Okay, more to grow. Excellent. Ishimori Phantasmo, I'll set that at B+.
Yeah, B+ is right. I am self-confessed, not the biggest fan of El Phantasmo, but I think him in a tag team is a really good use of him, and I think plays to his strengths. But being in a tag team does not play to Ishimori's strengths. I think Ishimori is a fantastic wrestler, and I would love to see him in more high-profile singles stuff. So it's like he is lifting El Phantasmo up, but El Phantasmo is kind of dragging him down.
Gotcha. El Desperado, Kanemaru, I'll set the bar at B+.
Yeah, B+ is right. I'm just very happy to see Desperado back, and it's been a while since we've seen anything from Kanemaru. I mean, when was the last time we saw big Kanemaru matches? I guess best of the Super Juniors. So I really like this tag team. They're one of my favourite tag teams last year. I love their heel shenanigans, but they do it in sort of like a grimy, gritty way that it doesn't make me roll my eyes the way that a lot of the Bullet Club stuff does. So yeah, I would say that's on par.
Okay. So far of what you have seen, Junior Tag League, I'm going to set the bar at a B. Has it been better than a B or lower than a B?
I would say it's about a B. If I was forced to, I'd say maybe slightly better than that. Maybe a B+.
Okay.
Because you've got 16 really good wrestlers in there. A lot of young, up-and-coming talent as well. And high-paced matches. I like tag team wrestling. I'm a big fan of it. And here it's good that they get a light shone on it and able to go out there and have time. Whereas other tag matches on big shows, it's like, okay, lads, you got 7 minutes, get in and get out. And you don't really see it at its best.
Well, all right. Now I'm going to be pessimistic, Damon. Is there a reason why that's the case? As shown with the poor turnout at pro wrestling's hotbed, Corkin Hall. Is there a reason for that, Joel Abraham?
Yeah, because the tag divisions are booked like shit. That's why. There's no problem with the roster.
Right.
There are enough wrestlers to book a really compelling junior tag division and heavyweight tag division. If it was up to me, I'd just have one tag division. But in spite of that, it's not the problem with the roster. Right. You know, you look at AEW and the talent they have at their disposal in their tag team roster is not as good as the talent at the disposal for the tag team roster in New Japan.
No.
But they're just booking it better.
Yep.
And they're making it look like it matters.
Yep.
Having a big high-profile tournament where there are big storylines involved and it looks like it matters and they're given time to shine and it's an ongoing thing, there's continuity, it's a long-term thing, and it just feels fresh and exciting. And it's just a booking. That we're just repeating ourselves. We always say this, but...
Yeah. No, I agree.
When the impression we get from the bookers is that the tag division doesn't matter, then that rubs off on us.
Right. And of any fan base that takes that to heart, it's a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan base. Right? If you tell me throughout the entire year that these people are pin eaters, then you give me a tournament of pin eaters with, sprinkled in, the stars of it. It's kind of hard, right? So, all right. Look, I agree. It's not the talent. It's how bright of a light they shine on them throughout the year that makes it kind of feel like, okay, and you're right. In just a few short weeks, you got talent that I would agree 100% that the talent in the Junior Tag Tournament blows away a lot of the talent that we're seeing here at AEW. But yeah, it does feel like those tag belts seem a little bit more relevant, don't they? All right, there you go. Good point by you.
Although I would, to be fair, I think the Birds of Prey, El Phantasmo, Ishimori stuff has been built up well. And I don't know if that's down to the booking or down to the four wrestlers themselves making it look like it matters, but they've built up long-term storylines. The Ospreay, Eagles, El Phantasmo stuff, that little love triangle has been, chugging away throughout the year, and throwing Ishimori into the mix, and, you throw Roppongi 3K, El Desperado coming back. I think it's more interesting than it has been in recent months. The fact that there are 4 teams in this tag league who you think are conceivably in with a shout of winning the thing makes it interesting. So I don't want to completely dismiss the whole thing because there are some positives.
Absolutely. And again, a B is nothing to hand wave, right? That's a good grade. And again, it's early and it's only going to get better. I just think that I don't know. There is something to be said about. I don't know if burnout is the right word, but I think again, just going by, you're a better judge of this than me. Online, is there any buzz for this?
No.
Okay.
Not
in our Discord, is there a lot of buzz?
No, it's the usual people, the hardcores who are going to watch anything that's going out live on New Japan Worlds. They're there.
Right.
But it's a fraction of the number of people that would be, watching a G1 show, let's say.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's fair enough. And again, I think better things are to come, but it's hard to get super excited so far, but we'll see. It'll pick up.
What I want, Damon, you go back to Wrestle Kingdom 12 and you had 2 really excellent tag matches there. So you had the opening match with Roppongi 3K against the Young Bucks, which was brilliant. They got 15, 20 minutes to work. It was exciting. It was fresh. And then later on in the show, you had Evil and Sonata against Killer Elite Squad, which again was a fresh matchup. It was exciting. It was fast. And it felt like it mattered. So all I want for this Wrestle Kingdom is a heavyweight tag title match and a junior tag title match with a fresh pairing, just 2-on-2 for both matches, where they got enough time to work. And to me, it's the things like that elevate a good Wrestle Kingdom into a great Wrestle Kingdom. Because you're always going to get a brilliant main event. You're always going to get the secondary titles, having a banger in the semi-main event. But I was really disappointed from last year's Wrestle Kingdom that the tag matches were multi-man stuff and just felt like an afterthought, that they were just rushing through it, whereas it set the bar so high for Wrestle Kingdom 12.
They have the advantage right now with 2 shows to be able to do that. Like, if they throw that shit at you this year, I can't. There's no way I could talk you out of the fact that they don't give a fuck about the tags, right? If this year where you have 2 dome shows to fill, they don't give you quality, at least one fucking night where there's a quality defense on both sides, heavyweight and junior, then you gotta just you gotta take a loss and just be like, it's never going to change. Like,
it's just the perfect opening match, Damon, for a big show.
Yeah,
a junior tag title match, 15 minutes, high paced. Everyone gets excited, just sitting there, and then you see it just seems obvious to me.
Yes, but the one thing that is missing from that is that we need is give us a reason to care about it. Don't just throw it together at the last minute. Don't give us the same old. Give us a reason to be emotionally invested in it, because then it'll really help take it over the top. Yes, opening match, pace, all the energy. That's what you want from your junior tags, absolutely. But if you could sprinkle in, I'm hooked into this because of X, great. Give me that emotional investment added to that I just feel like sometimes is missing from these scenarios. Awesome. And I think they do that a lot more often, and it's not a lot, but a lot more often with the well, you know what? I was going to say they do it a lot more often with the heavyweight, but I don't even think that's true. Just give us a reason to fucking care, and we'll be in. Trust me, we'll be in. But yeah, I mean, they got 2 nights to do it. If they don't find a way to fit it in 2 nights, then they're never going to do it.
All right, let's do some questions then. From Discord, Xavier says, what are Damon's thoughts on Liger possibly wearing pasties at one point in time? Are you familiar with this, Damon?
Like on his nipples,
I'll send you on...
we're talking?
Yes.
Yeah, please. Please.
I'll send you on WhatsApp.
Send me that anyway. I even if I saw it 1,000 times, 1,001 times is going to be even better. Okay, Liger. I've never been keen on showing my body off. This is Liger quoting. I don't know why. He's wonderful. I decided to do the Battle Liger thing. I thought about putting those little pasties on to cover his nipples. I don't think he needs that. Look, the guy's 50-something years old.
I was thinking pasties like Cornish pasties.
Delicious. No, the little, to cover his nipples, little things. It's weird. Like, we have weird stripping laws in the United States, and it's usually a state by state. So in New Jersey, you can't be fully nude and serve alcohol at the same place, right? In your strip clubs. So we have these little workarounds where if they serve alcohol, it's like a bikini bar, and they can get all the way down to full boob minus nipple. So as long as the nipple is not exposed, Joel, we're good. But if one little areola...
3D.
Right. If a little areola peeks out, we got a problem. We're going to shut down the fucking place, which is ridiculous, but okay. Whatever. It's dumb laws on top of dumb laws on top of dumb laws. So that's what they're referring to. No, I do not think Liger needs those because, again, he's 50-something years old and he's a fucking brick shithouse. It looks great.
Okay, next question then. Let's go to... I thought you were going to keep going. It just ended quite abruptly there. Oh, there's been more Hiromu stuff. There's excerpts from his diary. He's talking about Liger, so a lot of people are speculating that we're going to get Hiromu versus Liger. But just sticking with Hiromu there, I'm sending you another link here for Twitter. And the question from Aspia says, does Hiromu have the cutest family, or does Hiromu have the cutest family? So it's not really a question per se, but just a chance for us to remember, certainly one of my favourite wrestlers. You have a look at this, Damon. You tell us what you can see.
Send it along if you waiting for it to go out. Come into space.
Oh, it hasn't sent yet.
No, it hasn't. Oh, there it is. Now I got it.
Okay, there it is.
Oh, it's like a family. It's like a family photos, or not family photos, but like a montage frame of different where you would put family members. Different, maybe a picture of the family on the beach, or maybe at a picnic or at a birthday. But it's not. It's Daryl, an illustration of Daryl with like rolled up money. It looks like Hiromu in a celebratory confetti falling from the ceiling in ring. It looks like Best of the Super Juniors, maybe. More Daryl Cat pictures, and then just the in Los Ingobernables logo. So yeah, that's his family. All right, we know that, right? So look, I think there's speculation. I don't want to do this. I don't want to get everybody's hopes up, but
Power struggle. It's
power
happening.
struggle. Power struggles is the whispers that we are hearing.
That's where he made his debut. It makes
where
sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. So some people seem to have that circled on their calendar. I'm not going to fall into it. If it happens, and we'll all be smiling. I will say this, that I know in weeks previous, I was all on the Tanahashi board with Liger's last match. Hiromu, that would be something, wouldn't it? It would be something, just having the lead up. It's a guy who I don't know. It does make it is a. I think the internet would fall in on itself if that were announced. So I'm somewhat leaning that way. Power Struggle still gives it time to ride that momentum of hype. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Hiromu's coming out with Power Struggle, but let's look to that and see where we go with Hiromu at that point.
I want to get one of the stuffed cat toys for my future child. I think that would be a nice thing. I thought that'd be cool. Get a little Daryl for.
I think so.
Jolie Wan, as we're calling it so far.
Is that right? Do we have a little junior?
Well, that's half Joel. And Mali's full name is Mali Wan, so it's been unofficially called Jolie Wan. Well, it's still in the oven. All right, Dakota Ibushi says, would Sanada besting Zack Sabre Jr. for the undisputed British heavyweight title be a good spot for him and way to get him to a Wrestle Kingdom singles match? Maybe with former champs like Ishii, Suzuki, or Zack Sabre Jr. rematch?
Yeah. Depends on how often he wants to go.
Just anything but Sanada Evil tag. World Tag League win. Just get me away from that. I really think Sanada and Evil both have to have singles programs going into Wrestle Kingdom.
I like Evil more. To me, I'm more Evil than I am Sanada at this point. Anything but the tag, and I hate to say it, but that's all I feel right now with them. That's all I feel is that we're going to get stuck with tag situation. And I'm just tired of it. I mean, I got no problem with the British title. I really don't. I mean, I just feel like we're getting tag. I think that's I just see it right coming down the street. And I'm like, oh fuck. I think we're getting tag, Joel. I think we're getting Evil Sonata tag.
It's not even that the tag team's bad as such. It's just when that happens, you just think afterthought. It's a massive red flag, isn't it?
Right.
And they've never felt that cohesive as a tag team. They've, just give them a proper entrance theme. That's not just Evil's theme for 15 seconds, then Sonata's theme for 15 seconds. Have them with matching costume. Have them have some cool tag moves together. That is not the Magic Killer. They can do better. If they're going to go with a tag team, you got to go all in with a tag team and make it feel like a tag team that matters, not just like, oh, here's two singles guys that we couldn't find anything to do with. But yeah, anyway, we've done that one to death. Vase Collector 420 said, oh, this is relevant. Are there any dads who aren't New Japan lifers at this point? Would say Ishii, Honma, or Suzuki ever leave for another promotion?
I think if the money's right, especially, I'd be more worried about the dads, to be honest with you. Trying to make that final paycheck. Being in that training umbrella, taking on the new students. Yeah, I mean, I would be more worried about that than anything else. That the idea of them making a name for themselves in another promotion, being the head trainer or what have you. That would be a concern. There is something to be said about loyalty, but there is also something to be said about, I'm making how much more money? Okay. For doing a lot less? Where do I sign? There is something to be said about that.
Mark says, isn't it a little funny and weird that New Japan has 2 dome shows where they'll need a few more title matches to fill out the cards, like an ROH title match or something with CMLL, and those 2 partnerships are either dead or on rocky ground with Dragon Lee and potentially Kawato. I don't think they need the CMLL match or an ROH title match. I think there's more than enough titles and wrestlers for them to book both of those shows without having to have outside titles. Throw in the Rev Pro title, you got more than enough there.
You got plenty. I mean, you even mentioned, what Voices pointed out that we've been saying a lot. They got plenty of time. Work with what they got. They got plenty they can do. Christ, we got 2 shows and we're somewhat worried about. Okay, are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to be able to do that? We're going to be, No, I don't think you need all that. You have plenty of titles. All of them can be defended throughout the 2 nights. And then you can, if you don't already have it, and I think that you do, have that undercard fill out rather nicely with fun, interesting. I mean, look, let's put it this way. Night 2, you got something that you definitely didn't have before. Name me a Liger match in the past 5 years from the fucking Wrestle Kingdom. He's been in Rumbles or not even on the fucking show. Now we're going to shove in a high-profile marquee match with Liger. Okay, so now who else is, where are we putting everything else? That's going to be a huge part. You got on both nights. Look,
potential for 2 comeback matches which wouldn't need a title.
Right. I mean, there's a lot we got going on here. Don't kid yourself. We don't need 900 secondary titles being defended on these 2 shows. No, make do with what you got. You got plenty you could do. And you could start right now. No, I don't agree with that at all.
And the shirt guy says, hey guys, before I get to my question, I'd like to take a second and tell you guys that as a person who suffers from anxiety and depression and chronic loneliness, the podcast Discord help in a big way. It helps to know that a dork like me can be happy, successful, and it's okay to like this weird-ass subculture we call pro res. With that out of the way, I'd like to know what helps you guys, wrestling or otherwise, when you guys feel depressed, anxious, or even lonely.
First, I appreciate that person even mentioning that. So good for you for even putting that out there. I mean, that's a step in a positive direction, I think, right? I appreciate that we help in some way. That means a ton. Like, I'd rather hear something like that, Joel, than like, oh, that was a great take on fucking Shibata from 2011. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the stuff I love. Like when someone says, "Oh, you make my hour-long commute to work more bearable." Just little things like that. Just so we know we're just putting something nice out there.
Yeah,
making the world a tiny bit of a better place.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but wow. Okay, so, and I think I responded to this person in our Discord that I'm probably the worst person to get advice from, or tips, or stuff along those lines, because I tend to be, when I get in those episodic events, and they happen often, I'm not going to lie, I don't do best self-care at that point. I can turn a bit self-destructive, and I can turn, I probably don't do the smartest, wisest things. Now, luckily for me, I have I have a fucking fantastic support group around me that kind of know when I get there, and can kind of either get me back on track or get me somewhere where I can get back on track. So to me, knowing that they're there is probably the biggest key, because for many years, and even to this day, I can't say I'm an expert, I will try to shove that back into the box when I know they're coming. And that a lot of times makes it worse. I feel like if I could just ride it and acknowledge it and know what it is and know that it's happening, and then take preventive measurement to then not have it get worse, as opposed to, here this comes, I gotta quiet this, I gotta quiet this noise, I gotta fucking turn this off, and whatever will help doing that, just put it in me, I'm in, or let me do, or let me spend, or let me whatever. So being able to some people have even talked about even embracing it and really just taking it in, and as opposed to fighting, scratching, and kicking to not have it happen. So that would be my best advice, is that when those shitty things happen and you can feel your chemical disposition change within your body, to try to be more receptive to it, to know what it is, to not fight it, but to ride it, if that makes any sense, right? Ride it as opposed to try and swim upstream against it. That doesn't mean give up. That just means acknowledge, take preventive steps to have it get any worse, as opposed to tie me up in a box and I'm just going to choke these thoughts and feelings down with whatever method you choose. That makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. I've probably spoken about this before, but my mum has got bipolar. My wife suffers from depression. My sister suffers from depression. So it's more common than I think a lot of us think these days. So I'm of the opinion that if you are suffering from something chronic, it's good to go and see a specialist. It's just at least talk it through. I know for some people medication doesn't work, but for others it's just simply a chemical imbalance in the brain. So, if you've got a cold, you take cold medicine. I see mental health and depression as the same thing. So, and I know that doesn't work for everyone, and respect you if you think you don't need it or it's not going to help you, you don't want it. Fair enough. It's different strokes for different folks, but I've seen my wife without her depression medication and her with the depression medication, and it's like two different people. So I'm happy to say that's working for her. So go and talk to a professional if you really think that this is something that's chronic. But in terms of the sort of the daily grinds, when you feel a bit miserable and depressed, which happens to all of us, get a cat. That helps. When I'm feeling down, if having a little cuddle with Scampy or Gatti always cheers me up. Or just something that's a bit of self-betterment, go down the gym, or I'll do a bit of Mandarin study, or read a chapter from a book or whatever, something that I might feel better about afterwards than if I'm like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna go to McDonald's or go down the bar or whatever. Those would be my tips.
You're gonna think I'm.
And listen to podcasts as well. Podcasts make a huge difference. Sorry to talk over you, David, but there have been times where I've been anxious or miserable, and I've listened to podcasts I really enjoyed the Ricky Gervais XFM podcast with Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington. They always make me laugh, even if I'm having a shit day or whatever. So that can help as well.
A laugh absolutely helps. No doubt. Just something to kind of change the state. And you're going to think I'm nuts. And I'm not saying this just to be fucking silly. I'm really not. Masturbate. And now hear me out.
I was going to say that. I was definitely going to say that.
Hear me out.
You're onto something there. Yeah.
When you have crappy decisions that you're really anxious over, right? Hear me out. Rub one out, right? Then make the decision. Because a lot of times you just need that you just need 2 seconds of everything out of the mind and just that occurring chemically in your body, right? And for some reason...
It's like hitting the refresh button, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. It really is. Now, listen. I don't know what your private areas can maintain, right? You don't want to do this 12 times a day. You're gonna go raw, but some like that can help. As weird as that fucking sounds, I know I sound like a maniac right now, but sometimes it does. A lot of times it does. It just hits the reset button. So when in doubt, rub one out.
If we had titles for our podcast, that would be the title for this one.
When in doubt, rub one out.
Yeah. All right. Twitter. We've got Twitter questions. Let's go back to JDM here. He says, why do you think we haven't gotten David Starr in New Japan? He's one of the top available talents. Could even work near the top of cards in America. Do they think his gimmick wouldn't work in Japan? Is ROH blocking it somehow, given his anti-Sinclair promos?
No. You know what? I'm going to be honest, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but there are two sides to every story. It's not just the promotion who wants to have a pro wrestler under their banner. It's the pro wrestler wanting to work at a company, right? Maybe David Starr doesn't really want to work for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe, right? I don't know. I've never really had a conversation with him. He lives in Philly, or he used to live in Philly. So I don't know. Would New Japan have interest in David Starr? I mean, there's nobody that's told me no. Like, there's nobody that's been like, oh, that's one asshole we're not fucking signing. Nobody said that. But yet, in the same breath, nobody's been beating down my doors being like, what do you think of David Starr? I think he's very good. But again, it might just come down to the fact that he doesn't want to work for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But truth be told, I don't know the specifics with him. But usually we'll get people talking about, hey, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? And he's not one of those guys that people are doing that about. So it might be a mutual thing. Maybe, who knows? But no, I haven't really heard a lot, either pro or con, on David Starr.
Vince says, do you guys think New Japan could run MSG solo, or do you think they would need ROH to get them in the door? Also, Could you see them running a Wrestle Kingdom or a Dominion at the Garden?
Wrestle Kingdom should stay in Tokyo. I don't want that moving around. I want that to be very fucking clear. That is a Tokyo Dome event. I don't want it moved.
Same with Dominion and Osaka. I think they're synonymous.
Yep. Those big shows stay there, right? Could they run Madison Square Garden? Joel, I mean, look, let's take the financial, and it's hard to do because that at the end of the day, it's about running a building where you're profitable. But let's take that aside. If all things were equal and we're just looking at, can we get asses in seats? I truly believe they could run Madison Square Garden because you would be able to draw from not only the New York audience, but also the suburban New York audience, Philadelphia, the surrounding Philadelphia area. People go to Madison Square Garden all the time for events. Big concerts, they'll go. They'll take a train up. It's not a big deal. It's not that big of a headache. I truly believe they could run Madison Square Garden if they ran a show that people would want to see. Again, you can't just show up at Madison Square Garden with the lion mark and say, we're here, and 2 days later announce some fucking multi-man tag match as your main event. That's not going to fly. If they put together a show that was sexy and meaty and gave people a reason to go, yes, you're going to get the people that already would go, but you're also going to get that a little bit more than casual audience. And there's plenty of them to travel to Madison Square Garden for a big show. So to answer the question, they could if they do it right.
Cross Queen 12 says, thoughts on Kenta's love of Tomo. So I don't know if you've been following the backstage comments, Damon, but Kenta keeps talking about how dreamy and hunky Ishii is and how it's distracting him and his boy band good looks.
Yeah. I have heard a little bit of it. I just think he's just, as we would like to say, taking the piss, Joel, I believe. Nobody thinks of Ishii in that realm, and I think he's busting his balls because he's not which is hurtful because we don't want to say mean things. But no, it's kind of funny actually, because he's definitely not a cut of the boy band quality for sure.
Lachlan says, if you took out all the foreigners from the G1 and filled it with Japanese talents from other promotions, who would you use? So give me a handful of names that from other Japanese promotions that you would like to see hypothetically in a G1 climax.
I mean, you could start right with Joe Dorings and Kenta Miyahara and we can't do any. It has to be all Japanese.
Yes, Japanese talents. So. Yeah, Naoya Nomura is very good. Yuji Okabayashi, he's been great this year. I'd love to see him in a G1. Dragon Gate, maybe a KZ or a Benkei. DDT, maybe a Tetsuya Endo.
Yeah. I think you got to throw in your Daisuke Sekimoto. Keno, yeah. Yep. I mean, there's plenty you can dip your toes into. I mean, you go around. There's plenty to pick from. I don't think there's a shortage of talent from a Japanese perspective. That's for sure. I mean, right there we gave you 10 names right out of the gate. We could do a G1 just without New Japan guys. Quite honestly, I think we're good there. Yeah.
DB says, how would you feel about increasing the number of participants in the G1 if it was broken to 4 blocks with block winners going into semi-final matches? I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. I like 20 men, 2 blocks of 10. I would not feel comfortable with having 4 blocks.
Yeah, that's a bit much. And here's the thing: there's no need. I think the point of that is supposedly again. The best of the best, right? I don't want it littered with, no offense, but you don't need, I don't know, lower level, B level, C level guys competing in G1 just to fill it out. I think we're good with what we got. I think keeping it right in that same realm of what we've got is kind of the sweet spot, right? You really don't want to get too far out. And adding a whole entire different block.
I also want to say thank you to Francesco Biondo, who's just purchased one of our T-shirts.
Oh.
So thank you, Francesco. Wear it in good health. I hope he doesn't mind us saying his name on air, but if you're not comfortable with that, let us know. We'll edit it out. But I just wanted to say thank you, Francesco. Yes. We love you. Joe says, question for Music Damon, thoughts on the Verve, XTC, and Kraftwerk?
Okay. Kraftwerk, not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. Although, I mean, again, you can't deny what they did when it came to electronic music and such. But and a lot of the bands that I listen to or were heavily influenced by Kraftwerk. But I've never been a big fan. They're very simplistic electronic music that I just found it to be a little repetitive and boring. So I'll give a thumbs down to the Kraftwerk. Thumbs up. XTC, I like some songs. There's some songs that I like, but sometimes they're a little too quirky for my tastes. But overall, they're okay. And then the Verve, love, one of the best British bands ever. Urban Hymns, one of my favorite albums of all time. Northern Soul, great. I mean, Urban Hymns is top to bottom, just a fucking great album. I think Richard Ashcroft is great. So they're in my top 10 Verve, absolutely. And I saw Ashcroft open up for Liam, and that was pretty good because it was just him and a guitar doing fucking Verve songs. It was great. Thumbs up all the way for Verve.
John says, what do you guys think about the closed fist rule? It's pretty lame how the ref tells the fighter no closed fist since many wrestlers use it as their main offense nowadays. Do you think the ref should stop trying to enforce this, or do you like the idea of the rule? It seems weird, like why you can have Juice Robinson punching someone square in the face with his left hand of God, but then everyone else is doing forearms.
I mean, but that's always been the case, right? I mean, fucking Stan Stasiak had the heart punch, right? It's a punch. How's that legal? Motherfucker won the world champion, beat Bruno Sammartino with it. But yeah, it's all, they've always had something like that. But look, you can't, if you're going to sleep at night worrying about the punch, it's going to be hard for you to enjoy pro wrestling, So sometimes it gets a little much. But yeah, I see the point, but sometimes you just kind of got to just let that glaze over and move on, because you'll be you'll see a lot of inconsistencies, that's for sure.
Just a Guy says, Sho, Ospreay and Shingo are complete stars. Who do you think makes the biggest impact at heavyweight? I think long-term Ospreay, but
Yeah.
Shingo,
Yeah.
he's a guy that I would be pulling the trigger on sooner rather than later.
He's fucking awesome. I mean, I would have him in the mix for a title. I don't like. To me, he's the most interesting LIJ guy. He's top 5 favorite wrestler right now for me. He checks all the boxes. I'd have him in the mix, and I'd have him in the mix right now. He could instantly spice up that tag division if you wanted to. I mean, imagine him and Evil. Shingo and Evil.
Yeah, I hope we get some freshening up of the LIJ tag team in the World Tag League this year.
I would take that in a fucking heartbeat. Again, who's losing? But have them win it, is what I'm saying. If they're going to have to take a fall once in a while, okay, great. But have them walk away with those ugly fucking trophies. Shingo and Evil? Oh, it's a meaty, fucking beefy tag team I can get behind. Yeah.
Shingo and Evil versus Goto Ishii in the final, or Wrestle Kingdom.
God damn, that would be great. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But you could easily have him in the mix and do it quickly.
Vince says, if New Japan closes its doors tomorrow, which promotion would be your number one? I don't think it will be an American promotion. I just think for the sort of stuff I want to see, like top tier, work rate, big matches, probably looking at maybe an All Japan or a Dragon Gate. DDT, I like the high-end stuff. Maybe I should give it more of a chance. I think if I cared more, if I was more invested in it and knew more about the wrestlers and their backstories, I'd probably enjoy it more, because I do like comedy wrestling. But I'd probably say All Japan or Dragon Gate for the time being.
All Japan would be high on the list. I just think for ease of use, and again, not everything sticks with me, but I think AEW would be close, right? Just be able to pop it on and watch. And it's, to me, it's much better than what the other products are. Impact might be on the list if they...
I've heard good things about this Elgin Marufuji match.
Yeah. And Elgin's had a couple pretty decent matches on Impact. It's just so far under the radar. I'll tell you what. No, and I would agree. Have you watched any of that NWA stuff on YouTube?
Power. Yeah, it's great. I really like it.
Isn't
but, okay, here's the thing. I watch a lot of my YouTube stuff in double speed, and Power is the perfect show to watch in double speed, because then it's half an hour. You know you're not going to be getting any, like, balls to the wall, 5-star wrestling matches, because it's all that kind of retro Southwest.
TV.
Yeah, so you're not going to miss anything in that regard. And the promos are great. I love it. I think it's really good.
Me too. I've enjoyed everything that I've seen from them. And again, it does have that retro feel. I mean, it is, like it's 6:05 Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. It got a good feel. I like the presentation. I like the fact that wrestlers are going out there and doing what they do well and getting themselves over, and it's not scripted, and it feels, it feels like pro wrestling. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would be my absolute favorite, but of all these promotions and all this wrestling war that we talk about, I think the NWA has done a really great job of at least making themselves feel different, right? Giving, it feels like Raw and AEW are going, for the same look and the same feel, and eventually, the end result is you might not necessarily feel there's much difference. NWA, you got a vibe, and they've gone out of their way to give you and present themselves as a true alternative to the big arena fireworks pyro TV show. I like that a ton. They went backwards to look outside the box, and I definitely appreciate what they're doing. It looks good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nick Aldis. He's a guilty pleasure of mine. I know he's not the best worker in the world, but just the way he carries himself and the way he speaks, he just exudes that aura of a champion that you like to see in your wrestling main eventers. So, yeah, I'm a fan, and I also liked him when they did this was ages ago, but they did a reboot of Gladiators in the UK, and he was one of the gladiators. I can't remember what his name is now. I'm going to have to look it up because that's going to bother me otherwise. Another one was Goliath. He went on to become Mason Ryan in WWE. But no, I've got to look this up. But
go for it.
Here we go. Oblivion. That was it.
Oblivion.
Big fan. Oblivion back in the day, and good to see him as an NWA champion. All right, Oscar Rooney says, what is up with Taguchi wearing the Eddie Guerrero boots and doing his move, the Three Amigos? Is he a fan or is it just coincidence?
Oh, I'm sure it's some kind of tribute. It was recently anniversary of his passing, wasn't it, with Eddie? And he was mentioned in like Jericho even, did a little slide reference during a promo. So no, I'm sure it's some kind of tribute. I'm sure. Black Tiger was a pretty big influence back in early '90s when Guerrero was working that in New Japan, and I think his influence throughout pro wrestling in general. You talk to a lot of the guys, and they're when they go down the list of people who have influenced them, a ton of them are all over Eddie Guerrero. So no, I don't think I would say the majority of times when you see something that's like, that's and then we'll use Eddie Guerrero as the, is that a tip of the cap to Eddie Guerrero? 9 times out of 10, it probably is, which is good. I like pro wrestlers remembering history and remembering the people that came before them. I like that a lot.
Darth Koala says, now that Tanahashi seems to be on his way out, what is your favourite title defence from him? Also, do you think he will take a Nagata-style role, or is he having a big retirement match and that's it? I remember, was it against Suzuki, King of Pro Wrestling? I want to say 2012. I remember that being a really terrific match.
I mean, the trilogies with Okada have to be top of the list, right? I mean, the one where, and I always forget the numbers, but, everybody in that dome thought Okada was walking out with that title. Tanahashi pulls it off. Yeah, I mean, look, we talk about those classic matches, like the rarefied air. But yeah, there was a Suzuki Wrestle Kingdom one that was really good too. He's one of the greatest pro wrestlers of our lifetime. And one of the rare people that where you can point a finger and be like, best, and have an absolute compelling argument for best wrestler in the past 10 years. So, yeah, but I would think one of those Okada matches, I mean, depending upon what mood I'm in, would be top of my list.
And what do you see his role going forward? Do you think he's just going to gradually slide down the card, or do you think it's going to be big retirement match, and that's that?
Kind of feels like he's a slide down the card kind of guy, don't you think? I'm sure he'll have many different variations of retirement, but he doesn't feel like a guy to me that's just going to be like, okay, one match done, and not really see him anymore. He does feel like he's a guy that's going to slide down the card.
The Goldfather says, is Jay White a top 3 talker in the biz right now? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Jay White promos because they always just seem to be
ha ha ha!
In one tone.
I got you.
And then he talks quietly, and then he starts yelling, and then it's quiet, and it's yelling. It's kind of like reminds me of Randy Orton.
I think.
Give me a top 3 then, because I don't think Jay White's in the top 3 for even New Japan alone. I'd have Juice.
Juice is right up there. Juice might be top
Suzuki.
of the list. Suzuki's good. I mean, he does capture that evil sinister, don't fuck with guy. Juice, I just love just for the emotion that he brings, right? I mean, him in tears during that David Finlay promo. Did you see that? I mean, that was
Yeah.
to me, that's good stuff. You know what I mean? Like he could barely get out the fucking words. Every word was a struggle between him fighting back tears. He wishes Moxley would have been there. He knows he could have beat him. He wasn't necessarily prepared for Lance Archer, but he'll be back. That's compelling interview to me. And I think for humor purposes, just because he fits my sense of humor, Zach. Like listening to a Zach interview, just like he is the epitome of what a fucking just smug prick, right? And I get a kick out of that. And he's funny, and he drops band references that I enjoy. So I might go with Zach third.
Kyle says, I got borderline obsessed watching Jay White flip his hair back with his hand after every single fucking move. He's like Kevin Nash on Adderall. Do you think this is merely an annoying habit of Jay's or a clever, subtle heel trait?
I don't understand people who spend more, right, like long hair. Okay, great. It's going to get in your hair. It's going to get in your head, if you're in
There was an MMA fighter, Benson Henderson, who had really long hair, and he's constantly brushing it out of his face. I'm like, mate, this is an actual prize fight. You're going to get your head kicked in. Like, surely, if you tied that back or cut it off, that would give you an advantage, or at least not a disadvantage where you're constantly having to do that.
Right. You would think, in a real MMA fight, you need 100% concentration on what somebody's doing. And if even for a second it's, I got to get this hair out of my eye, you're going to get a fucking fist to the mush. Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand, and it might be a guy thing. I just don't understand the idea of sacrificing convenience and comfort for fashion. Right? You know what I mean? Like, if you're spending more time moving your hair out of your eyes, something's amiss. Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm in full agreement. I have noticed that too, and it is like, just cut the fucking hair or pull it back, my man. But okay, there you go.
Brian says, who pisses overseas fans off more, Omega or White?
Japanese fans or us?
Us, Western fans, I think he means. Overseas fans.
Omega, absolutely. I don't think Jay White comes fucking close to pissing off North American, Australian, British fans as much as Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, I mean, he has fans, absolutely, and loud fans and boisterous fans. He also has a pocket of people who he stands for everything that is bad in pro wrestling. And let's put it this way. Excuse me. There are plenty of people that you ask them, what's your opinion, Jay White? He's all right. Nobody is Kenny Omega's all right. It's either he's really fucking great, or that motherfucker. And there are no 6s or 7s when it comes to Kenny Omega.
It's two sides of the same coin, because the people who love Kenny Omega also tend to be the people who despise Jay White.
Really? Yeah. Why do you think that is? Is that more of...
Because they want Kenny in New Japan, and they wrestle a very different style. Jay White is more methodical and slow-paced and deliberate, whereas Kenny Omega is more high-paced, flashy, high spots.
Right. Yeah, I mean... you can only have one. Which one you taking? Right now.
That's really tough. I think Kenny's a better wrestler now, but in 5 years, or maybe even 2 years, might be a different story. Although I've come to really love Jay White, so yeah, that's really difficult because they're so different.
Yeah. There is nothing subtle about Kenny Omega. You know? I take that back. There is. But yeah, branded gun to the head. I'm going to take, again, just for the now. Just for the now. You're right. In 2 years, there could be a completely different fucking story. Right now, I would probably take Kenny Omega.
This is from I might have copied the Twitter name down wrong. A little lazy says David Finlay. What can we do with him to push him to the next stratosphere?
Here's the problem. David Finlay doesn't look any fucking different from David Finlay 9 months ago. Okay, he lost a little weight or gained a little muscle, but like I was kind of hoping for a hard reset, and that hasn't happened. He's the same fucking dude. Why am I thinking he's better now? Why would I think that he's more than what he was? I mean, again, it is about the booking, but on the surface, there's nothing for me to be overly excited about. Yay, David Finlay's back. Oh, it's the same David Finlay. It's not really changed. Okay? Should I expect more of the same? I would have thought that would have been a perfect opportunity. New gimmick, new feel, new coat of paint. Get the same fucking guy wearing a pair of Vans in the ring. Okay? He's cool. I like him. Don't get me wrong, but what's new? What's new, Dave? What's new? Again, booking to be determined. There could be a turn. There could be, whatever. Okay, we need a new coat of paint, and we need it sooner than later because there's not one person that's sitting there thinking, okay, well, what this seems new and fresh. It's not. It's the same.
Chris says, if you could take any star from another sport and put them in New Japan, who would you pick? My pick would obviously be Ashley Barnes.
Who would I pick? That's a good question.
I'm picking sumo star Hakuho because not only is he an amazing sumo wrestler, but he's just a smug twat. He's arrogant. He's got this arrogant little smirk that he does after he beats people. He can be a bit of a prick sometimes. I think he would be great.
I think Jason Kelsey from the Philadelphia Eagles. He is the guy that is infamous for his speech after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He was dressed in the Mummers costume, and he went on his pro wrestling interview rant where it got beeped 5,000 times because he was dropping F-bombs every 5 seconds. He's a big guy, mobile. Think of kind of built like an Prince Albert. But yeah, I would go that route. I would say that let's start there. That's the first one off the top of my head.
Tejas says, if Prince Devitt stayed in New Japan, would he have ever become IWGP Heavyweight Champ? It looked like they were going in that direction, didn't it?
I tell you what, you would think he would be the guy leading that Bullet Club right when it was starting to really pick up. And then AJ walks in and takes care of that, and away we go. Yeah, I would think he would be one of those guys on a short list that they were looking at. I mean, again, they're always looking at size and, is he a big enough guy? But he was competing with the big boys. He was that smug little prick heel. Oh, you would think he would be one of those guys that they had penciled in as a solid maybe for the future for this company. So I would say yeah.
It's remarkable, really, when you think about it, that they've managed to get what I think are the 4 perfect people to be leading the Bullet Club at that particular time.
Yeah,
just to get 4 real top quality wrestlers who not only can deliver in-ring but can talk as well, just to have Prince Devitt and then AJ Styles and then Kenny Omega and then Jay White in just a seamless manner, just all just blending smoothly into one another with managing to get a little storyline boost with the transition. It's really impressive.
It is, and the fact that really those 4 guys, all had a different feel about them. You know, it wasn't just like cookie cutter leader of the Bullet Club. They all feel a little different and kind of give you new, I guess, new pockets of time to be created around them. You know, AJ to me is much different than Jay White, and Jay White is much different than Kenny, and Devitt is much different than Jay. You know what I mean? Like they're all feel different, all had similar roles, but yet still feel completely fresh, different, and kind of like their own, I guess, pocket of time is, for lack of a better term that I can come up with, for that faction. Fresh, and you know, you talk about gimmicks. This thing's been going on for a little bit now, so to be able to, you know, maybe not even lose a beat when it comes to Bullet Club stuff, it is pretty remarkable.
Joe says, random question, just want to hear your thoughts. Why does Taiji Ishimori look so stiff, like he's broken his back or something, when he's walking down the ramp? Yet when he's in the ring, he's so fluid. Always has me puzzled. Michael responds and says, I think because when he's entering, he's trying to mimic the same walk the original Bone Soldier used to do, but he doesn't bother to keep it up while wrestling. You shed any light on that, Damon?
Maybe. That's probably closer to the truth than anything else. Yeah, that, and it's hard to really walk with those big fucking arms of his. Being that he is like a little fire plug.
Incredibly tight leather pants.
Yeah,
he's got that like a bit of a waddle when he comes down, doesn't he?
He does. Again, he's very compact. That's what he is. He's like a tree trunk. So yeah, that is maybe that is the case. He's trying to Bone Soldier it. I love him a lot. I think he's really good. He's one of my favorites. But hopefully we'll see some more out of him soon. Good. All right. What else? One more question I have time for.
Anders says, do you think Juice Robinson will stay in the US title picture, or could he move up to the Never division or potentially even the IC title mix?
I would think IC title is the next thing. Honestly, I would think tag. Couldn't you give him a tag strap? I would absolutely give him a tag strap.
Again, Finn Juice. That's a perfect example of a fresh tag team that I'll be perfectly happy to see win the World Tag League and challenge for the belts at the Dome. Yeah. Just freshen it up. Just anything to get away from the staleness of the scene. But yeah, Juice in tag matches is something we haven't seen or haven't seen prominently, and I think that will be good. It's like, I think he needs to move away from being the guy who's there to put over the incoming Western star, because, you know, he's done that with Cody, he's done that with Moxley. Let's see something different now.
Yep. Do something different. But yeah, I think the next steps for him are tag belts or I think he's beyond Never. I really do. I don't think that's the right fit for him too. I don't think that title is a Juice title. Intercontinental, could I say it? Yeah. I mean, again, it's all about the booking. You could do anything. But I think that would be the next step, tag or Intercontinental.
All right, I do want to say thank you to the kind people who donated money to us on Red Circle. You can do the same if you go redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast. It's very much appreciated, but unfortunately we don't have your names. All we got was the money. So if you are one of those lovely people who sent us money, let us know on Twitter, and then we can give you the proper thanks on the next show. And our Discord server, you can find the link to that in the show notes, and prowrestlingtees.com/super-jcast. So people buying t-shirts now, Damon. It's exciting times.
I love it.
Massive thank you to Editor Dan. You can check out his music on Twitter at Escape the Box UK and YouTube at Escape the Box UK. I think, did I say it was YouTube/Escape the Box UK? I think it was anyway. No, I've got to check that. I can't do down dirty like this. Right,
don't do down dirty. I'll you look. I'll hype it up again. I got no problem with that. Again, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that you listen to music, this thing is there.
Yes,
Pariah. You got it.
I was right. It's youtube.com/Escape the Box UK.
There you go. All right, and again, help support our Dan make it to Glastonbury. And again, support his endeavor, because not only is it mean a lot to us, but it's damn fucking good. So give it a listen, give it a couple listens, put it in heavy rotation on your playlists. Anything helps. The great Escape the Box.
You can also subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling podcast network for other shows, and we might have an ad soon, Damon.
Yeah,
you got to knock that one out the park for us.
Of course I will. I mean, why wouldn't I? But yeah, I have a phone call this week, right? This week with a potential sponsor. So we will do that. I can't wait for them to listen to all the great Teton Dick content.
I think if what I understand about this company is correct, I think it would be extremely on brand.
I do too.
What we talk about.
Right. So yeah, I can't think of one better. So yeah, hopefully that'll come through, and you'll know it because you'll hear it. So exciting times for the Super J.
Give us a 5-snake review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter @the Super J Cast. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.